milk. Opposite of milk. Expensive egg.
It is that time for a rum and coke night. Yeah, it's Friday. We are having a rum and coke night tonight to talk about a few things. I am not doing a camera tonight, so you're gonna have to just like imagine how beautiful I look right now. Because well, I didn't feel like it, and I've been doing all kinds of stuff today because of our strike, and I just didn't feel like taking a shower and getting all pretty for you people. But anyways, welcome to rum and coke night. We have Dr. John Kroon with us, an astrophysicist, and we have this other guy named Cirrus something or other, and Kyle's with us. And anybody who else wants the link, let me know. I will get it to you. We are doing Zoom. FYI, Kyle is powerless at the moment, so we're going to jump right into this so he doesn't like go through his batteries too quickly, because we do want to talk about the strike before we get into the sciencey stuff and flat earth.
I have a huge announcement first, Steve. And by the way, if you hear the wind blowing, that's because I'm outside and I can't pick up the signal inside where I'm at, so just ignore that. But before we jump into the bad news about the strike, let's talk about some really good news. Guess what I just found out?
What did you find out?
Godless Engineer proposed to KC.
Oh, yay. And she said what?
No, but that's for another.
Oh, that's a bad news.
Yeah. But congrats to them both. We love you both and wish you nothing but the happiness. That's very good news.
You know, it's like 2018. She could have proposed to him, you know.
It's true, but some old-fashioned things should never die, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that too. Actually, I do think that. I think that a woman can, but I'm old-fashioned too. I agree.
Sure. But yes, so congrats to them both. Now this bullshit strike. It appears that I don't think they have a leg to stand on. I think it's going to be something that's reversed. The only thing that's preventing that is time. They have to retract it. Isn't that correct, Steve?
Yeah, I had to do a bunch of legal stuff. I sent a bunch of, as you know, emails out. They have to actually get the emails. They have to actually go through them. YouTube has to actually approve the counter notification. And this all takes time, and it is obviously the weekend. And the company that we're dealing with that did the initial strike, they're out of UK. So
right, and they claim that. I don't really know what they claimed. It was from Studio Canal, which is a movie production company, and they produced a movie called The Lost City of Z. Yesterday, we did a stream with Dr. Anderson about the real story of The Lost City of Z. It had nothing to do with the movie, nothing. There wasn't any images shown from the movie, no video footage shown from the movie. It had absolutely nothing to do with the movie. The only thing in common was that the title. That's it. And you can't copyright that.
Right, you can't copyright a title.
Steve found out that it was manually triggered, meaning that someone actually had to do it. It wasn't done by automatically triggering an algorithm or something like that. So they must have just saw the title and assumed that we were trying to upload the movie and flagged it. So here we are.
Yeah, they're whoever did their legal thing obviously didn't know what the hell they were doing, because they didn't even look at the video, because there's not even a single screenshot from the movie. There's no video stills, there's no audio recording from it, there's absolutely nothing. The only place that's even mentioned is like one place, and it's in passing, and of course you can mention a movie. There is nothing for them to file a copyright claim on. So what happens is when we do the counter DMCA notification, I did a full legal document to counter it. that still will probably get the video reinstated, but it may or may not take off the strike. That we won't know until Monday. It should, but we don't. It normally won't take off the strike unless the complainant, which would be the UK end, will relinquish their claim and say that they made a mistake, and they actually have to notify in writing to YouTube that they no longer have a claim on that particular copyright.
But can't YouTube take a look at it and remove the strike?
Possible. Yeah, possible. I mean, it's one of
Because
those
that's
things
not right. I mean, that's not fair.
I'm pretty sure it'll get restored because every time you file a counter, it automatically gets restored. But whether the strike gets removed, I don't know. That's going to be up to YouTube.
That's the like the video. I'm not as much concerned about. It's the strike that's preventing us from doing anything.
Right, but first steps first. I mean, getting if we can get the video back up and they remove the strike, that's great. So let's try that first. They won't even have to go through the British company, whatever they call it, studio, whatever. They can just say, okay, well, this is in dispute. You guys have to now take them to court, or they have to take us to court if they think that they have a claim. That's resolved at that point.
Well, from this point on, they're another one referred to as Studio Canal. We're dropping the C off of that and calling them Studio Anal because they're nothing but a bunch of fucking assholes.
Yeah, I'm gonna give. Like I said, we'll see what happens by Monday. We've got a lot of people working on it on Twitter, sending them notifications and telling them you guys screwed up. Shannon Q has enlisted the help of 30, 40 people.
That's the big thing, guys. If you're watching this and you have a chance, go on Twitter and tweet at them and let them know that they're at Studio Canal UK and let them know that this was done inappropriately and unjustly, and motivate them to remove that claim.
Isn't there a whole hurrah happening with Article 13 though right now?
Yeah, there is, but
it wouldn't get enacted until 2021 though. So this has nothing to do with Article 13.
It's not passed yet, and I don't even think this would even the article. I mean, obviously, that's going to affect memes and things of that nature, but this wasn't even like this wasn't even something that we took and made satire out of it, right?
It's a title.
It's a title, right? I mean, that's it. There's no derivative content here at all. There's nothing. There's no modification. There's nothing.
If you had the title of a stream talking about gladiators, and the studio that made the movie Gladiator said, we copyrighted that. Like, you can't copyright a fucking historical pattern.
Yeah, you can't copyright titles, and people use titles in their titles because they talk about stuff. How do you think people do movie reviews? They talk about the movie by naming the movie. Let's have a little common sense here, people. Quick thing, Johnny.
Exactly.
Johnny said, for $5, he said, keep hope alive, things will be better, peaceful sunset, false flag, or strikers. This wasn't a false flag. This wasn't actually a DMCA by the people that actually would have had a copyright claim had we used any of their content, but we didn't. There was no content from them. So help us out. Tweet to them and say, hey, you've DMCA'd something that has nothing of your content in it. What the hell you think?
You guys done goofed. Enjoy reparations, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, well, they should give us reparations for probably the whole $10 we lost by that video. I don't know.
Exactly. Fuck them. Okay, guys. Well, that's all that I wanted to pop in for. You guys enjoy your evening, and I'm heading back.
All right, be safe. Get your power back on.
Trying.
Don't get washed
Bye,
out
guys.
to sea. Peace. All right. So anyways, on to happier things. We are drinking tonight. I'm having some nice Chardonnay. Dr. Kroon, who we're going to call John because it's casual tonight. John, what are you drinking? You had like 7 things you were drinking. You're like, you got this prepared.
It's so that I don't have to get up as many times. I have this nice tulip chalice glass, which a friend just gifted to me a few days ago, and it is holding it's a Marzen style lager. It's very closely related to the Oktoberfest style from a local brewery, local to Northern Virginia area. Oxtober beer, because the brewery is Old Ox Brewing. And it's a very, very nice beer for this season, like pending fall time, late summertime frame. And I also have a Hop Knife by Troegs. It's a Harvest Ale, and then I also have a Sauvignon Blanc if I wanted to sip on some wine later. It's available.
Nice. I'm going to copy the URL to get in here. People have been asking for it. We're going to get some people in here in a few.
Cool.
So I guess we're going to be kind of talking about, I don't know, astrophysics or something. I mean, I've been trying to get with John for quite some time to have discussions with him because he's been on the NonSequitur Show before. If you guys haven't missed it, what was and who'd you talk to? You had a conversation with.
That was Kyle and KC.
Was it? Oh, that's right. It was just you. You did because you did a presentation on planets and exoplanets, but it wasn't actually dialogue with anybody. That's right. That's right. So I figure we can maybe talk about I don't know, various things in astrophysics. I happen to kind of like black holes a lot, and I happen to like learning about inflationary theory and maybe what it's like to be an astrophysicist. Because growing up, I loved astronomy. I mean, I was just enthralled by the stars, but at some point I recognized I just could not do that level of math that was going to be required, and so I went to nuclear power school instead. Found out you had to do a shit ton of math, but not exactly the level of an astrophysicist. So I like the concepts if you just like leave all the math out of it, but I mean, they're kind of intricately related, aren't they, in some ways?
Yeah, I sometimes tell people that it's like saying, and although you didn't say the following, I heard some people say, math and physics are not the same thing. And I'm like, that's like saying English literature and the English language are completely separate and mutually exclusive.
Yeah, no, there's a really tight correspondence between physics and math. I mean, you can't do physics without math. And,
right.
I mean, I think mathematicians understand the nuances of math better, but you can't obviously do a physics problem unless you understand math.
Right.
Hey, Goddess Iwin, thank you very much, by the way, for not just once, but twice being in your video tube of the weekend report. Sarah and I both made it twice because, well, we were in the same videos together.
You made it 3 times.
I made it 3 times. What was the third one?
Because Godless Cranium and Pragmatic Culture's Non-Sex Show was in there.
Oh, good point. Good point.
Yeah, so 3 times this week.
Damn it, Steve, you beat me.
Oh, well, I got to update my Facebook. I only put twice.
Now I'm upset. I got to go on camera to say how upset I am.
Hey, Cyrus.
How's it going?
All right. You are eating.
So when are we going to suffer through League again?
Maybe sometime this weekend. I don't know.
I know that Pam's been wanting to play League this weekend. And Cheris, who we did the stream with Mrs. Snarky with.
I am Pam. I am the cry. I am the sad. When my Cyrus has forsaken me.
Don't be sad. Don't be sad.
I have not hung out with my Cyrus for several days. I am sad.
Have we been like taking him away from you or something? He's been busy with other people.
It's because this week I've either been on streams or I've been editing videos, because instead of my usual 2 videos this week, I had to make 3 because I also made the video for Vice Rhino's Friday upload.
You're neglecting Pam.
Well, when it comes to YouTube, they have an open relationship. That's true.
I mean, I share him with both of you, so yes.
Pam is going to run off with Mrs. Snarky. You realize this?
They'd probably be happier and better off.
That's okay. That's okay, Iowin. I have the best. I still hold, and I'm going to say it on camera now because this time I have an opportunity to. When I send you your gift for your marriage with Mrs. Snarky, you have to open it on camera.
I'm honestly afraid. When I first said, sure, I'll do this. And then I was like, oh God, but what if it's something awful?
It's a bag of dicks.
Like yeah, what if it's like a giant...
I already know that. I can tell you right now what it is.
And
they're all micro penises.
You can eat dicks while on stream with Iowin.
No. I am imagining a dildo that has Cyrus's face at the end.
John's like, I got a PhD in physics to hang out with this. Really? So let's jump into that. I'm kind of curious. So, what's kind of cool to talk about? There were so many things that John and I were willing to discuss.
But
that's we were talking about muons, but that's going to be for our Sunday show. Isn't it? Yeah.
All the juicy, not all, some juicy stuff we have to reserve for our Sunday show.
Them, though. They like being teased.
Oh, yeah.
You want to tease them and tell them what we're going to be talking about on DEF CON 1 Sunday?
Yeah, we're going to be looking at the singular phenomenon of time dilation one of the most central pieces and arguably one of the most interesting components of Einstein's special relativity and some of its applications and the consequences in nature. Anything from muons to experiments you could do at home building your own cloud chamber, a particle detector, to the applications of this to interstellar space travel, trying to get to Earth 2.0 sometime in the future, or just space exploration
The one
without warp
drive.
drive,
That one's like supposedly happening.
or even further away. I will see on Sunday that is assuming you can bring enough survival thing water, recycling water and growing your own food on the ship. If you could live in space for a mere decade or two, you can get almost anywhere in the galaxy.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. So, ISO Lycan censored another dick pic for Kyle. Thank you, ISO, but he's no longer here. But I'll check it out, even though I'm not really into those things because, well, I like women. But anyways, okay, so let's talk about that real quick because I'm fascinated by time travel, and also goes a lot into philosophy as well. Back in the day, I was reading books by Paul Davies, who wrote a lot about various hypothetical ways of doing time travel, especially using black holes and things of that nature. Now, as I understand it, if you were to actually go at the speed of light, let's just argue that it's possible, right? And if I did want to go to another place in the galaxy, let's say I wanted to go check out the center of the galaxy, the supermassive black hole in the center of the galaxy. At the speed of light, I would have zero travel time for me, would I not?
Yeah, you would get there instantly, and you would perceive the universe to have zero size, and your direction of motion would be a plane. It would not be affected, and the direction's perpendicular to your motion. It would have zero size in the direction of your motion.
So I'd be like literally to me, I'd be taking a completely space-like journey, but with no timeline.
Yeah, in fact, we could flip this on its head and take it to the next level and say, what does a photon experience compared with what we observe a photon to have done that traveled across the universe, some faint photon from a galaxy 13 billion light years away that Hubble, soaked up, From our point of view, it's a lonely photon. It maybe started out as an ultraviolet ray from some star in a dwarf galaxy and traveled across the vast intergalactic void of the universe for 13 billion years from our time, and then finally was hit by the detector of the Hubble. But from its point of view, and also it's infinitely time dilated. It's from our perspective. If we could see little tiny clocks inside the photon or whatever, it would be frozen in time but traveling through space. From its point of view, it's born at the speed of light, and it exists for zero time, and then instantly it's born and then instantly hits the Hubble detector, and it zaps out of existence, turns into photoelectrons that are stored in the computer signals and hard drives on board in the
So
program.
with respect to its point of view, its life expectancy, wouldn't it be zero though?
Every photon in its own frame of reference they experience zero time, and they're born and then die instantaneously, even though they cross the entire.
But that's hard to wrap your head around.
It took me a long time to get it as well.
It doesn't seem hard to wrap my head around. It seems pretty much like my sex life. It starts and then it's over right at the same time.
Then it's not existence for a long period of time.
Yeah.
Well,
Infinite distance, but zero time.
But let's look at this. Okay, so in that time frame from the photon, there can be actually no changes to the photon. So, in order to have change, you need time. Because actually we measure time by the measurement of change, specifically in the direction of entropy. So as entropy increases in the universe, that would be time zero. So we would say time usually goes in the direction of lower entropy to higher entropy with respect to the universe. Would you agree, John?
Yeah.
Okay, so the photon itself, because it's instantaneous and has zero time, to its own existence, nothing's changed about that photon. It hasn't diminished in wavelength or frequency. Increase your frequency, decrease your frequency, increase your wavelength, energy level. Nothing's changed with respect to it. Now, we may see it billions of years later, this tired light, right? But it itself it exists and it ceases to exist so instantaneously, how is it not like a virtual particle to itself?
That's interesting. Yeah, it's kind of like a virtual photon in its own frame of reference.
In its own frame of reference, right.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, when I start drinking, we get really deep into weird shit.
Yeah, I can tell.
I'd say that doesn't seem unlike in your so in your standard fantasy trope role-playing games, you almost always have deities that control different aspects of the world. That's like a big trope. And one of the things that almost always happens is that there's a deity controls space and a deity controls time, and they're separate. And I think it's a wonderful thing that I am a gamer, because that doesn't seem terribly hard for me to wrap my head around, because I've been exposed to that so much through gaming.
I mean, I totally get the concepts too. I understood this in high school, but it's still from a macro point of view, from our daily observations, it is very difficult to wrap your head around things like relativity and especially quantum entanglement type things, right? I mean, because we don't see these
entanglement.
Things. Yeah, we don't see these things in our daily experience, right? Matter of fact, when Einstein first, started really talking about spooky action at a distance, he was reluctant, and I don't know if he even did. Did he even give up on local realism? Because he was really reluctant to take into the fact that entangled particles act upon each other at a distance, and he couldn't explain why. Matter of fact, we still don't know why, and we don't know why local realism breaks.
Yeah, all I know is he came up with several clever thought experiments that he thought would find a hole in quantum theory, and it ended up supporting it. And so I think he was very fundamentally opposed to it, but I think, because remember, we have the Einstein-Rosen bridge stuff.
EPR bridge?
And don't forget about Schrodinger's cat. That's probably the most famous one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Schrodinger's cat's boring compared to EPR. Because okay, I'm talking to an astrophysicist here, so stop me when I go way overboard from my pay grade here. But EPR is interesting because if you have two black holes that are quantumly entangled, in theory, there could be parts in the singularity that are actually bridged by an EPR bridge to completely different places in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Although you can't transverse them, because if a photon actually goes into one of those EPR bridges, it'll actually collapse. So it's not like you can travel to any points in the universe. But there is some kind of, I hate to say wormhole, because that's kind of sci-fi, but there is some bridge of something that goes from two quantum entangled black holes. And they posit these little individual EPR bridges inside the singularity. It's fascinating. It was something that Leonard Susskind had hypothesized.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
So
the universe is way more interesting than we gave it credit for.
Yeah, definitely.
It really is. I mean, do you think, like even a couple hundred years ago, the stuff that we know now, if you were able to tell them, hey, go to Newton, say, hey Isaac, check it out, man. We're going to show you some cool stuff. He would lose his mind.
Neutron stars, not black holes, but gravity so dense that a fall from 1 centimeter would have you going several times the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of cool because a neutron star, if you have an earthquake on a neutron star, that actually could be like energy detected thousands of light years away.
Well, yeah, they're called nova.
We're talking like magnitude 20 plus here for the formation of the tiniest little thing.
What's the neutron star quake called?
Starquake, I believe.
Some smaller nova explosions have been attributed to the rapid and massive changes in the crust and the magnetic.
You're talking about less than a millimeter when you say crust. It's not like the crust of the Earth. You're talking about a millimeter, like the surface area of the neutron star, right?
Yeah, fractions of a millimeter.
It's the crust itself. It's not a very big part of the neutron star that has these quakes.
I think the jury's still out on that. I've seen models where the crust is pretty thick.
Well, I mean, the shifting.
Really exotic states.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. The neutron star is pretty smooth. I mean, you're looking at a very small amount of difference between the peak and the troughs.
It's basically just a big old ball of neutrons.
Actually, it's like one neutron. It literally acts as one neutron.
Yeah. the magnetic fields in like magnetars can exceed 1 trillion or even 100 trillion Gauss, and so remember the magnetic
That's
energy
ridiculous.
density goes
Yeah,
like
they could wipe a credit card from the distance between Earth and Pluto.
Mm-hmm.
Those are magnetron stars.
Yeah, magnetars.
Magnetars, yeah. Those are basically a high, rapidly pulsating neutron star, right? With a high magnetic field.
Those are the types of pulsars which have really strong magnetic fields, like I said, trillions to quadrillions of Gauss, and then you have millisecond. There's a whole neutron star zoo. There's a diagram I could show next time.
I did remember this though. I couldn't remember it the other day, but now I remember it. I'll never forget of it. The Tolman-Oppenheimer-Volkoff limit, which is the upper bound for a non-rotating neutron star, which is analogous to the Chandrasekhar limit for a neutron star. I couldn't remember for the life of me that term, because a white dwarf has a limit of how much it can go to be held up by electron degenerative pressures. But a neutron star has neutron degenerative pressures, and that's called the Tolman-Oppenheimer-Volkoff limit. So I was pretty proud of myself that I actually finally said, I'm going to memorize this and not forget it again, because I was really embarrassed that I forgot that the other day.
And yeah, once you pass the neutron limit, you get yourself a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
So a neutron star is basically the closest you can get to a black hole without actually being a black hole.
Yeah.
In a stable state, yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, what would happen?
Their conversation is so far above my head.
Are you learning something?
Well, I don't know if I'm learning something or if I'm back to speaking in tongues.
Well, what do you guys? I mean, what do you guys want to know about astrophysics? I mean, we got an astrophysicist.
I'm an open book. I don't know everything. I actually don't know nearly as much as I would like, but I think I have a quick phrase or two to throw at you guys.
And yeah, I have an interest in orbital mechanics and that kind of stuff, but I do have a vague knowledge of astrophysics.
Yeah.
So, do you know how to do a SP2 or SP3 orbital hybridization, Ned?
No.
Okay.
No.
You might want to look that up. Orbital mechanics. I mean, look up Vesper theory, and you get to learn all kinds of stuff about how to do orbital hybridizations. Where if you take an orbit and the electrons, and the way they have to exist in only certain states, right? Are you familiar with Pauli's exclusion principle?
You're thinking about nuclear orbital physics? I'm referring to actual, man-scale orbitals.
Oh, you're talking about planets. I'm talking about electrons. You said orbital mechanics. I'm talking about electrons.
Yeah, whenever you said SP2 hybridization, I was like, he's going to like organic chem and.
Well, when you hear orbital mechanics, don't you think electrons, John?
No, I think
no.
You're an exoplanet guy, so yeah, I guess so. Well, you all suck.
You should consider I thought of both for what it's worth.
Okay, well that's why he has a PhD.
Fair enough. But yeah, I did indicate to the Saturn V in the background for a reason,
So should we play Stump the Physicist? That'd be fun.
Believe me, you're gonna have a hard time.
Anybody's gonna ask you questions that are that technical.
Hey man, like if you go to something I'm not very up to date on, or I'm a little rusty on, you could stump me pretty easily.
By the way, real quick, so the outside feed can see real quick. Do you guys look at this? If you guys haven't seen it before, this is my cool desktop. It actually tells the exact time, and it's all customizable. I can move this shit.
Oh, gee, a computer that tells time. That's good.
No, it's like really cool. I can move all this stuff around. Don't hate, man. Don't hate.
It's like a Casio.
Yeah, it's like an iPhone. Okay. How about this? Well, each take turns. We'll try to ask John a difficult physics question. Don't get all too crazy. I mean, I can get Dr. Ross in here if you want. No, he won't show up. But Dr. Ross is cool. How about this? What's the Helmholtz mechanism?
Helmholtz? You're talking about like thermo and temperature stuff, or okay. Helmholtz.
How about for stars specifically?
For stars?
Yeah, the Kelvin-Helmholtz mechanism.
Kelvin-Helmholtz mechanism. Oh, I don't know. That sounds familiar, man. What is it?
Because it's not really used anymore. It was back in the time when Sir Arthur Eddington and Kelvin had been trying to determine what keeps a star up, and they instead of having what we know now would be gamma pressure, which is balanced with gravity, they were saying it was something to do with the cooling off of the star, resulting in compression So as the star cooled, you would have a compression of the star, and it would shrink. That in turn would be offset by I don't remember I don't remember what it was offset by, but it's a balancing act.
What you mean?
Because we didn't know it was fusion at the time.
Protostar phase, or you mean, and you're talking about the pre-protostar phase for the gravitational collapse of the molecular cloud, or are you talking about hydrostatic equilibrium?
No, this was supposed to be a hydrostatic equilibrium for an actual star.
Okay.
Didn't they think that the sun ran on coal at one point?
Oh, I wasn't surprised. But the problem was that the problem was that they found out by using this mechanism, it would only last somewhere around like 10 million years, and so they knew that the star had been around a lot longer than that. So they figured that was probably a bad hypothesis. But yeah, it was called the Kevin Helmholtz mechanism.
Yeah.
Fun facts.
Let's see. Anyone else got a question?
He doesn't want to play with me no more. And I'm the idiot here. I've never taken an astrophysics course in my life. I took astronomy, but that's the.
Well, that probably explains why it's all so outdated.
Oh, what are you trying to say? I went to school in the 1900s. I did.
So what is the ether made of?
Ooh, good question. First you got to qualify: Lorentz or Einstein ether. Not the same thing.
We'll just.
What, John?
There's no ether.
Well, Einstein has an ether. Einstein
it has been experimentally disproven.
No. You're talking about Lorentz and ether, though, but not Einstein.
You're talking about the only ether I'm aware of is the luminiferous ether.
That was luminiferous
some other ether.
Yeah.
See, mine was actually saying about your information on physics being 100 years old. I was going back even farther and talking about the ether. It was a joke. It was a bad one.
Well, no, because there is luciferous ether. Obviously, that doesn't exist.
Ether is made out of the same stuff as
Luciferin. Yeah, Luciferin ether from Lucifer, from Satan.
Yeah.
No, but there are other types of ether theory. Einstein even had one. So.
But yeah, so far it hasn't been proven.
Well, there's no need for it now. Correct me if I'm wrong again, Doctor. Light actually doesn't need a medium because it propagates. As it propagates, it creates its own medium.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I like to say it like it creates itself with a mutually orthogonal electric field.
That means perpendicular for all you people that don't know math.
And so it induces and propagates itself.
So Kantian.
And that's a beautiful thing.
That's so Kantian, though. The thing that is itself. It's like a Kantian
concept. Don't get me started on the whole wave-particle duality thing. Nobody has any clue about which one it is.
He's a doctor of physics. He has a clue about it.
So I would say that the wave-particle duality thing has been largely misrepresented in the sense that from an empirical standpoint, a photon can be either a particle-like or wave-like, and it's usually the shorter wave-like ones like gamma rays, X-rays, and UV that almost always behave like particles. And then things like radio and infrared, even maybe optical light, usually you could just treat them as a wave, but never simultaneously unless you get into like hardcore QM stuff and you talk about like the wave equation and stuff.
What happens if you start getting into like Bohemian mechanics?
Bohemian mechanics.
Bohemian. I'm drunk. Bohemian.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was the Rhapsody for a minute.
I'm drunk as shit right now. This wine's not getting to me. I've been drinking for a while, so you can tell.
That's the mechanics where you see the little silhouette of a man.
Bohemian mechanics. Pilot wave theory. There you go. Yeah, my goodness. Wine fucks me up bad. It really does. Pilot wave theory, which is...
there's a really cool video on it, a little demonstration that makes it like so intuitive.
Yeah, but it requires more assumptions.
It does, but it's kind of neat.
Was that like 3 brown, 1 blue? I think they have a good video on it. If it's that one I'm thinking of. Yeah, the way I understand pilot wave, it actually allows for global variables, not local, but it can actually... It's not limited by the Bell inequality because you can actually use it to describe all the states of the system, which you can't do from an actual local hidden variable model.
Yeah.
Quantum's
good
fun.
stuff, man. Good
I guess
stuff.
I have a kind of a side question. Being a physicist and dealing with quantum mechanics, how do you feel when new age peddlers out there attribute basically everything to the quantum?
Well, you throw quantum in front of anything, it's automatically true, right?
Yeah.
I deal with it the same way that I deal with people that talk about astrology.
And all this crystal resonance woo and all that bollocks.
Oh, yeah. It's no good. That's all I got for now.
I think that's the perfect answer.
Well, crystals can resonate, but
not in the way that they're aware of. The ones that wear them around their neck.
Yeah.
The only way a crystal heals you is if you put it in cabbage juice and then drink that for a month.
Yeah,
and
it cures you by
with a heavy dose of salt. Don't get the
yes,
salt.
it's got to be Himalayan.
A turtleneck sweater. You got to wear a turtleneck sweater on a Tuesday.
Yes,
And you have to make sure that you are burning the right type of incense from those specifically picked herbs.
Hey, did you guys ever hear about that fastest gun in the West routine applied to chemistry?
I've seen the fastest guy. I've seen the fastest draw guy. I've seen.
Yeah, but
Isn't that to do with hypergolics or something?
No, but here's how it goes. You go, I have memorized the periodic table of the elements, and I can say them really fast. I can say them as quickly from hydrogen to uranium only as 1/4 of a second, and then you go, ah! Yeah. I told that to my students right after I said the whole periodic table of the elements in 90 seconds.
I've never had to memorize the periodic chart, believe it or not.
Me neither.
They never made us memorize it in nuke school. You had to understand the columns. You had to understand basic orbitals. There's no need for rote memorization to memorize the whole goddamn periodic chart.
Well, in high school they had asked us to memorize them up to zinc, and I had previously memorized it under very silly circumstances. No,
because that won't work.
No, for even different reasons. And the reasoning the high school chemistry teacher gave was, we're going to be writing chemical equations all year, and I can't have you run into your notebook every 5 seconds to figure out what W is, and so it's tungsten. And so learn these symbols, their names and their.
It's also an intermediate vector boson too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We're nerding out here. See what happens when we drink and nerd out, people.
See, and
you think I Google this shit? I don't have time to fucking Google any of this stuff. So it's just all on top of my head.
I just have fun anecdotes. Like when I took chemistry in high school, I took a test and just answered every single question with beryllium. And the teacher actually gave me a C because he said it was the funniest thing that he ever saw.
That was beryllium 7 and 8 are pretty cool, man. Do you realize that stars probably wouldn't even work if it wasn't for how beryllium actually decays in a star?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pop
really
quiz: what is AU?
Gold.
Yep,
and
that's
also astronomical units.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny,
also,
isn't
asshole
it?
University.
197 nucleons. 79 protons.
So how about we do this, John? Because you're smart and shit. How about we ask them questions? Simple, basic high school level questions. Like, Ned, what determines the actual atomic number for an atom?
I believe that is the protons and the neutrons.
No, sir. You had it right, but you continued on.
Just the protons.
Just the protons contribute to the
That's
atomic
right,
number.
because the ionizations are electrons.
Sort of. You're talking about ionizing potential or electronegativity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I think I have one. What is the name for the diagram that organizes stellar evolution into a chart?
I know, but I can't. I'm not going to say because it's too easy.
Let's
Go ahead.
Godless Iowa.
Is it beryllium?
Yes, it is beryllium. How the fuck did you know that? No, you fail.
I'll
You're not as
accept
nice as
either
your
the,
teacher.
I'll accept either the abbreviation or the full blown.
How about I give them the abbreviation? Maybe they can figure it out.
Okay, let's do that.
HR. No, nobody.
Ah,
We'll ask the live chat. Live chat, play along with us. Where's this?
Oh yeah, let's see what we
got
got.
live
going.
chat.
Yeah,
We got other
live
people
chat.
watching.
See if
So-
you can solve this mystery.
Yeah, okay. Yes,
They're gonna probably
Abad.
do.
We know it's the HR diagram. I already told you
it's
that.
known as the Hobo Rec Room.
And Abad, you're a scientist, so you already know this stuff. You can't play. Shut up. Yes, Fino got it right. Hertzsprung-Russell diagram. Very good.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, we don't let Abad play anymore. He's smart.
I just memorized the main sequence stars in Elite Dangerous as KGBFOAM.
I know it as OBA
OBA, fine girl, kiss me.
Kiss me, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's how I remember as in high school. Yeah. So how about we ask some like the weirder questions, like, this is a doctor question. Dr. Kroon, how do we determine the difference? Looking at a brown dwarf to isolate whether it's actually a planet or a star. What is a brown dwarf? Is it a planet or a star? Or
okay,
what the
so
fuck is
I'm
it?
going to say beryllium.
Brilliant answer.
Internet high five.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you wouldn't. I mean, so like a brown dwarf is like a failed star, and it doesn't have any fusion going on in its core, but it's
Are they sure about that? I was reading an article that said something about like 1%, up to 1% could have some fusion in it, but it doesn't.
Well,
doesn't
there
sustain.
could be a distribution as subclasses. You know how you have for each letter it subdivides 0 to 9, and so there could be on the hottest end of that spectrum some little fusion. It's called baby fusion.
Baby fusion. So, but it's not sustainable any means. Yeah.
Yeah, they emit almost entirely in the infrared. They don't emit much.
So they're
if at
really
all, in the
big,
optical.
really cool as compared to other stars, but still very high in the infrared spectrum.
Yeah.
It's basically like the stage in an engine where it's just kind of spluttering just about to start, but it never reaches that final self-sustaining point.
Yeah. And they're supposed to be hotter than it would be required for like weather, like Jupiter. Like if it were 80 times more massive than it is now, it would actually be a star. We'd have we'd have two suns.
Abade says brown dwarf can have deuterium fusion, but not hydrogen fusion. I think he means molecular hydrogen because deuterium clearly is hydrogen.
Yeah, deuterium is an isotope of hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he means no molecular hydrogen fusion. But why would that be? So what? Does deuterium fuse at a lower temperature than molecular hydrogen? Or
I
atomic
don't
hydrogen?
know for sure.
I don't know. I
don't know either.
I don't know if it's going to have enough pressure and temperature to do.
I think because the heavier molecule surely would require more temperature to fuse rather than less.
Things get weird on the. I don't know. So I never make those kind of statements because it's like, I've seen weird things. You would think one way, but it actually works out somewhere out different.
Yeah, it's like orbital mechanics. Back in the early days when they were getting the hang of rendezvousing with other spacecraft, they thought, oh, let's burn towards it. That'll get us there. But
But you
no,
gotta
it
remember, in
just
an
took
atomic bomb,
nothing.
they use deuterium, right, to make to tritium. So they don't use atomic hydrogen for that. So there must be
No,
a reason,
yeah.
but I don't know the
Most
numbers.
fusion, earthbound at least, is deuterium tritium.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, the nuclear reaction chains, they're just that. They're a chain. So we often talk of fusion, hydrogen fusion or deuterium, but there's like, you get, what was it? You get a hydrogen and a deuterium come together, and you have a free neutron, and
It's
you have
four-step
helium-4, and then you have neutron dissociation, then it goes off and hits another thing. And yeah, it's this complex.
Proton-proton cycle is usually a four-step process.
The proton cycle.
Tom 34B said because Steve is right more often than not, even on rum and coke nights. So even when I'm drinking, I try to fact check, but see, I'm the person. If my science is off, somebody will correct me on it. I mean, I have too many smart people in live chat not to be corrected. So if I say something,
And you will actually admit when you screw up, which is a very good thing
but I
to
used to
do.
blame it on the alcohol. That's the difference. I gotta pronounce bohemium.
Well, at least you have that excuse.
Oh, this wine is getting to me. Oh wow. Well, I mean, I started drinking because the strike thing. Oh my God, was I fucking just doing everything possible to get something going on tonight. So I made at least a small video. I screwed up the beginning of it, but that's okay. It's not a big deal.
But yeah, from the depths of hell I stab at thee.
Moby Dick. They call me Ishmael.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm literate too, believe it or not. I've actually read a few books in my life.
Oh yeah. All right. So let me think of another question. Hey, Steve, can you ask Ned a question while I think of a good one?
A sciencey astrophysics question?
Oh,
Ned, let's see here. How about I let you? You pick the topic in astrophysics. What do you want to go to? Black hole, or you want to talk about cosmology, or?
Yeah, black holes.
Black
Those are
holes.
rather interesting subjects, those.
Okay, what is the radius called that if a certain amount of mass was inside that radius, it would turn into a black hole?
Schwarzschild radius.
Oh, okay, that was an easy one. One of those two.
For a non-rotating,
For a non-rotating
uncharged
curved black hole.
Yeah, there are also regularities, but that is way more complex math.
So there was a question in the chat. How did we discover that space was a vacuum? Like,
We tried breathing
way
in it,
back.
and we figured out we couldn't do it, so it was like bad.
Probably because it had a different color compared to our atmosphere.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
place to start. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's actually just makes
It
sense. I mean, as
refracted
you go
light
higher,
differently.
you get more rarefied.
Okay.
So you know if at a certain point there's just
Yeah.
not going to be no atmospheric
So
pressure.
that answered the chat.
That's pretty much it right there.
Kind of intuitive, isn't it? Okay, so
And then
Ned,
we have for the rotating black hole a Kerr,
yeah, what are the two types of black holes?
K-E-R-R.
Kerr. I mean,
A
I know them
Kerr
all, but
black
do you know them,
hole.
Ned?
Hmm.
And then I forget the one where it has charge too.
Kerr Newman.
But you guys know a lot about how black holes got started, like the research in that with like the bet between Stephen Hawking and
Yeah,
and
I
Leonard
do.
Susskind, I believe.
We're going to be trying
And
to get him on,
Cygnus
by the way.
X1 is like the canonical, like historical black hole source nearby us.
Yep, we are going to try to get Susskind on. I have a friend, Landon, who knows him.
Yeah, and it was like
That was the
like
firewall
in the
paradox,
60s
though.
when this was like a hot topic, and they would have to use a high altitude balloon with X-ray detectors on board to gather data, and then later on it was upper atmosphere, like sort of parabolic arcs of like rockets.
Yeah, sounding rockets.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you for the $5
And
chat,
then
Claude.
after that, we had a series of orbiting satellites up through Chandra, which is currently an X-ray observatory space base with very high angular resolution capabilities.
Yeah, and we're getting the Kessler Space Telescope or something like that up soon, I believe.
The Webb
that
in
one's been hyped up for a
2021.
while.
Yeah.
Some kind of new space telescope going up at least.
Yeah, in 2019 we got the James Webb going out, and that's
Oh yeah, the James Webb, that's the one.
Christian Apologist
Yeah, I
asked,
was
comment
thinking
on
about the syndrome.
real quick. Christian Apologist asked, comment on Hugh Ross. I love
Let's
Dr.
see
Hugh
what
Ross.
else we got here.
Hugh Ross is a nice guy.
You guys hear about spaghettification. It's like a very descriptive way to explain what happens to you if you were to fall into a black hole.
I have heard of this, yes.
Yeah, basically, imagine a noodle 1 atom wide. That's what happens to your body when you reach a black hole.
Well, a small black hole, a large black hole. You wouldn't get spaghettified because it's much more. It's much more smaller gradient differential in gravity, so you wouldn't get spaghettified if you had a supermassive black hole. By the way, a couple super chats real quick. AC Castillo, how about travel via an Einstein-Rosen bridge? I personally think you can't because it'll collapse. It's not stable. Claudefoot, 5 pounds. Thank you, Claudefoot. No comment. And Christian Paul just wants to know what I think of Dr. Hugh Ross. She knows that. Dr. Ross is a friend. I really like Dr. Ross. He sends me books. But and by the way, I don't know if you heard because I was muted, but you're talking about a Kerr-Newman black hole. A Kerr-Newman black hole has a rotating with charge, so it has M and Q.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because you got to remember, Ned, there's something called the no-hair theorem. Ned, the no-hair theorem basically states that there's only a couple things that exist after something actually goes in a black hole. So the things that are left over, you have mass, you have charge, angular momentum.
Yeah.
And do you know what else has only those 3 properties? This is where it gets real curious.
Electron?
Yeah, well, any subatomic part, any fundamental, an electron is.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And so an electron is thought to have 0 size, almost like.
They're point-like.
Yeah, they're point-like. So it's kind of like an eerie, like little like clue. There's something interesting going on there.
And electrons don't actually exist in distinct orbits. I know they have a kind of molecular cloud of probabilities.
They're probability. Even the suborbitals are probability. By the way, there's something called a principle of supervenience. Ever heard that before? It's a philosophical term, so I don't know if Dr. Kroon even has heard of it. John, do you know what supervenience is?
No.
Supervenience is a kind of a philosophical term. It basically means that higher level properties are described by lower level properties. So even the most basic of elementary particles, the things that are determined by it hold true throughout the whole system. So it's called supervenience.
Okay.
It's a fascinating thing. I told you, like, going into this, science and philosophy are intricately related in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
So this would be a principle of philosophy that the smaller things hold true for the larger things. So you're talking about the principle, the fact that electron only has mass, charge, and angular momentum, and yet here's the biggest, nastiest things in the universe that only have charge, angular momentum, and mass. There's a supervenience there.
Yeah, absolutely.
People don't like philosophy are crazy. I'm sorry. Philosophy is fascinating.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you can get into some very interesting discussions and debates about what it means for XYZ.
Well, Steve, I don't know. Like, I love philosophy, and the people who I know that say they hate philosophy generally actually love philosophy. They just don't.
Oh, KC is here. Hey, KC.
Oh, hey, by the way, KC, very huge congratulations to you. I heard that you didn't say no to Godless Engineer for whatever reason. So, congrats.
Yes.
But no, seriously, huge congrats. Tell him about goddamn time.
I've seen The Ring. I'm very proud of GE.
Well, I think he had no choice. Once he found out there's like a planet out there that's the size of diamonds, that he had no choice but to.
Yeah, there are several planets theorized to be made entirely of diamonds. So get on it, you asteroid miner people.
Oh, it's not even diamonds. We wouldn't even have to worry about that. There's asteroids that have trillions and trillions of dollars worth of minerals that we can mine.
Rare earth metals.
The first trillionaire will be from asteroid mining, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, Steve, a lot of the times when I get into discussions with people who say they dislike philosophy, it actually comes down to their making philosophical arguments. They just don't realize.
I know. And I don't hold it against him. I mean, I know Casey's not a fan of philosophy, and I don't hold it against her. I think she probably she knows more about it than she lets on, but she doesn't just call it philosophy. But she's engaged in philosophy, whether she recognizes it or not, right? So I think that a lot of people just say they don't like philosophy. Yeah, I get that, and I understand the reasoning for it. But I think a lot of them actually do probably appreciate it more than they let on.
And Landon makes a good point.
Because they're not dumb people. None of these people in our community are stupid, so they have to use philosophy in some way in their argumentation.
Yeah, and Landon makes a good point there that prices would tank if we just hold a big old planet made of diamonds or trillions of dollars at once over onto the Earth.
Well, yeah.
Well, the way
that was what I was going to say.
We already have surplus of diamonds. Diamonds are actually,
not
from
rare.
my understanding, not rare.
There's one company that owns diamonds. There literally is a monopoly on diamonds, and they're not rare.
Yeah.
They're
Is
just,
it the Umbrella Corporation or something?
They're valuable because people say they're valuable. That's the only thing that's keeping
that'd be Resident
diamonds.
Evil, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Is it
I'm
De
glad
Beers?
someone got that reference. I'm glad someone did.
Is it De Beers that owns?
De Beers diamonds, I think it is.
Yeah, that owns all the diamonds. And
So they just basically pull an apple and keep the price artificially high because screw you.
Yeah, it's called
There
artificial,
are
artificial
warehouses.
inflation.
Yeah.
there are warehouses filled with diamonds out there.
Believe it or not, I used to work with diamonds.
Huh.
Hey
Back in the
gang,
day.
warehouse raid coming up.
Color, clarity, the whole 9 yards. Back in the day when I worked for Kohl's, I was in
Ah,
charge of the
yes,
jewelry
the
department.
color, clarity, all that kind of.
So I had to understand a little bit about diamonds because the worst thing you'd ever do was to take back a return and find out that the diamond had replaced with something else. So you got to know what to look for to make sure that you're not getting screwed. Luckily, I never had a problem.
Because
my
there
store
are
never had a
people that
problem,
actually
but-
do that. They
Oh, I
take the
know.
diamonds off a ring, replace them with plastic or
No,
something.
cubic
zirconia.
zirconium. Now, most of the detectors will detect cubic zirconium nowadays, but 9 times out of 10, when a store takes back a diamond that's not real, it's because of employee error, because they don't know how to use it properly or they don't even test it. But there is a procedure for taking back diamonds, and luckily,
Pay peanuts, get monkeys.
luckily my store was really good on that because I was in charge of the jewelry department along with everything else, and so I was like, I'm not going to get burned on a diamond.
Good man.
7 years.
I'm still,
baby.
guys. I'm listening, but I'm still thinking about black holes.
Yeah, let's go back to black holes. So, Ned, I guess you're our guinea pig. What is the point of a black hole after which there is no hope and no return called?
Oh, that's the event horizon.
Okay, can you have more than one event horizon?
If you have a regularity and stuff like that, it might be possible, yes.
Not so much a ringularity. What would happen to be if you have a spinning black hole, the event horizon can actually split.
Yeah, because it's spinning so fast that the forces are literally ripping it apart. Well, as close as they can to it anyway.
You're screwed either way, by the way. You know.
Yeah, essentially.
You know that, like, near a black hole, like, space and time itself are dragged around. It's called frame dragging. Even Earth does it, but it's very, very tiny, of course. In the sun.
Yeah.
That's that's one of the reasons why we know we don't have ether. By the way, they were looking for ether dragging. But we have
frame dragging. Because, as you get closer and closer to a black hole, all of our understanding of physics just poof, breaks right down.
So I guess I have it. Maybe it's a silly question. It probably is a silly question. But you talked about spaghettification.
Yeah.
If hypothetically someone could survive to the point where they began to be spaghettified, would it be instantaneous death or would it feel like they were being killed forever?
Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
I'll let him answer first, and I'll tell you my thing. But first, I want to say hi, Brant. Good, nice of you to join us.
Oh, hello.
We weren't ignoring you, but they were ignoring you.
Oh no, it's
sorry
fine.
about that.
And
My friends are not very
yeah,
sociable.
I grew up reading Hawkins, so it's like the whole spaghettification thing. I'm real excited to hear what his answer is.
All right, so how does the good doctor answer this question?
Well, let me start from the top, if you don't mind. So you're following, let's say, feet first, and it's Bob. Bob is an astronaut who decided to jump in. Maybe someone was like, hold my beer, watch this. A bunch of physicists, right?
Bob's a crazy son of a bitch.
This is how physicists have fun when they're drunk and near a black hole. And so
Bob was a crazy son of a bitch, and now he's a noodle.
Yeah, so he's fallen down. He's accelerating extremely fast. Let's say he starts out 500 what are called gravitational radii, and everyone's at a relatively safe distance watching him fall down. He begins to notice that his feet are being pulled stronger to the black hole than his head because they're closer, and he begins to feel uncomfortable until his knees dislocate, and eventually his body is bifurcated around the hip, probably at the base of the spine. And then he's now traveling, still alive for a little bit of time, although he can't feel his legs, not because his back is broken too. And he's subjected to extraordinary levels of background radiation and magnetic fields. Let's just ignore those for now. And so as he gets faster and faster, gets closer, the gravitational tidal forces are able to overcome the molecular cohesion of his his legs and his torso. So he probably split into the knees, and then again probably below the shoulder blades. And every time you split in half and your distance scale is smaller, it takes a stronger gravitational tidal force to split you. So then you're inexorably falling closer, and it just keeps bifurcating, splitting till it becomes very rapid as you approach the black hole. But something more crazy happens than just gravitational tidal forces ripping you apart in an infinite bifurcation process till you're just a stream of atoms. It's that space itself is being funneled in, and so you're quite literally extruded like a toothpaste through a tube.
Now let me give the technical explanation. Ready for this? You're fucked.
50 Shades of, without a doubt.
Yeah, but let's clarify things. First of all, you got to remember this only would happen on a smaller black hole. On a larger black hole, the gradient is not as profound or pronounced that you're not going to have this bifurcation going on. Now
you'd still get ripped apart because every black hole has
hang on. No, you wouldn't. Hang on.
You wouldn't.
He asked the question, what would happen if you fall in? So let me give it from my perspective. If you had a supermassive black hole, as soon as you start falling in, you pass the event horizon, you wouldn't even notice. You wouldn't even know that you were there. You'd be like, everything is hunky-dory, everything's really cool, you're checking it out. And then after you pass the event horizon, then you start to notice something's wrong. Because you would notice that when you look in one direction, things start speeding up in the universe. Things start going faster. But you don't know why. You see that it starts redshift. It'd be redshifted to you.
Yeah. And once you cross the event horizon, literally all of space is just curved to singularity.
Well, hang on. As he's talking, he says that, space, there's something called Minkowski space, right? And if you look at a Minkowski diagram, you'll see a light cone. And light would be traveling at a 45-degree angle to your fastest speed. So you have this light cone that's produced. After you hit the event horizon, that light cone tips. And it tips more. And it tips more. So eventually you reach this point where you are literally traveling orthogonal, pretty much, to the original position you had with respect to your light cone. And you're taking a completely time-like or space-like journey in no time. But the problem is that in about 1.25 seconds after you pass, I've read 1 to 2 seconds, somewhere in that ballpark, after you hit the point of no return, that's when you smack into what we call the singularity. Right. Yeah. So you're going to die pretty quick. But you know what's going to happen long before that, though? You're still going to die because you're never going to make it to the event horizon. So Godless I win. Why would you probably not even make it to the event horizon in real world experience?
In real world experience?
There's really 2 good reasons why. What's surrounding a black hole other than the event horizon?
What is surrounding a black hole?
Did you watch the movie Interstellar?
I did. I'm guessing there's all kinds of...
You have a very hot thing called the photosphere.
The photosphere.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd be cooked alive by both heat and radiation.
Yes, you'd be very cooked very quickly, and also that you have the firewall paradox.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like if you are like sadomasochistic, this is the way to go.
You're going to die one way or another. It's just a matter of how long.
Yeah. I mean, you die in pretty much every conceivable way, and quite a few that are literally impossible.
But the cool thing about the firewall paradox, the way they resolved it, if I'm not mistaken, the way Susskind resolved it, he basically said 2 things happen, but one of them only happens the way you see it, and then to somebody else, they see it a different way.
Yeah, because of frame transformation. Same thing with SR. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
No, please explain. Help people understand frame transformations.
Oh, well, right. So the way you resolve the paradox of what the both observers see, the one falling in and the one at a safe distance observing everything unfolding, is, well, first to note what's different. The person falling in, like Steve said, sees everything is fine. You won't even notice the event horizon. It's like ignoring like the photosphere and like all the X-rays and stuff from the accretion disk, if there is one. The radiation and the magnetic fields, even ignoring gravitational tidal forces, because like with a supermassive black hole, those wouldn't even rather bother you all that much anyways. But you just sail right in and then you disappear from the universe. They say that an event horizon essentially splits the universe into 2 regions, outside of the black hole and inside of it, and it's a one-way street, right? And so the person that's observing from a safe distance sees gravitational time dilation take hold of the subject, in this case Bob, and he goes slower and slower and slower in time until he touches the event horizon from her perspective, in which case you're infinitely time dilated and frozen for all eternity in time at the never ever crossing through the event horizon. And so Leonard Suskind's resolution of this paradox. The paradox being how could two completely, I mean, they're mutually. It's the law of non-contradiction. Something can't be both A and non-A in the same way at the same time. So we have these paradoxes, which just are a way of saying there's something fundamental about the situation that we're missing that would resolve and sort of unify in one cohesive paradigm both of these disparate observations.
And yeah, I don't have a spanner in the YouTube chat, but Minute Physics has a great playlist on an intro to special relativity. So if you want to get at least a basic understanding of it, that's a good place to start.
ESO asks, how does Hawking radiation escape? Well, pretty simple.
That's a quantum effect.
You have what you have is virtual particles that are actually at the membrane, I guess you can call it, of the black hole. We'll call it the boundary condition. So at the boundary condition, you have virtual particles being created and destroyed. You have that ubiquitously throughout the universe. But what happens is there's enough energy in that part of the space where you can actually have an actual particle being created, and it'll actually split from its virtual particle, and that actual particle would actually leave the black hole while the virtual particle is forever entrapped inside the black hole. But that virtual particle that leaves has actual kinetic energy, and that actual kinetic energy is radiated heat.
Yeah, it becomes real particle. Yeah,
it's a real particle.
It's crazy to me. It's just, I mean, it's just.
It really is.
Wow.
Does anybody wonder how I actually even know about any of this shit? People think I'm just like the good-looking one on NonSequitur Show, you know? Oh wait,
I don't think
whatever.
Anyone
Yeah, nobody. No, I got confused.
No, you got that flipped.
Damn it.
The question was asked in the chat that I'm kind of interested in. Do black holes ever collide?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
we
all
observe
the time. We've detected gravitational waves from black hole collisions.
Yeah.
So what happens when that happens?
They merge into a bigger one, essentially.
Yeah. And the one that we first detected by LIGO had about 3 solar masses worth of gravitational wave energy.
Yeah.
So if you add up the individual black holes, I think they were like, I don't know, I'm going to guess 35. We'll say 35 and 65 are saying solar masses, whatever the hell they were. They were in that ballpark, I think. The combined mass of them was 3 solar masses less than them individually. That was all converted directly into gravitational waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught this, Steve, but someone in the chat does think that you're the better looking one on NonSec.
I hope that was a female.
No,
I don't really care. I don't judge. Thank you very much as a dude. I know Mrs. Snarky does, but you know.
Yes, the chivalrous females.
I love you guys.
Yeah, so by the time the gravitational waves reached Earth, it was like 9 billion light years away, the amplitude of the wave was like smaller than the nucleus of an atom, and they built
smaller than a subatomic particle, actually.
Yeah, that's right. And they had to build an interferometer that was sensitive enough to make those very precise measurements, and they succeeded and opened up an entire new field of astrophysics called multi-messenger astrophysics.
Well, wouldn't the wavelength be really long at low energy?
Well, it was attenuated, right?
It's the amplitude.
The amplitude.
The
amplitude. Okay, you're talking about the. I'm sorry. I thought you said wavelength, and I was like, wait a minute. The amplitude would be really low.
Yeah.
We should actually do a hangout one day on wave functions, explaining period, frequency, wavelength, amplitude, frequency modulation, amplitude modulation, that kind of stuff.
You could do a stream just on frequency, and I would be so happy because frequency is one of the most misused terms in New Age spiritualism out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, they're all kind of integrally related, right? I mean, if you know frequency, you know the period, right? Because they're reciprocal functions of each other. If you understand, well, with respect to time. So if you know the time, you know the frequency. You can find the wavelength. You can find the period. But wave function equations are rough because we had to touch on, just basic sinusoidal waves, and damn, that shit's hard. I don't know how anybody memorizes how to do that stuff.
Yeah, it's more what I tell my students is it's this new word I invented, rememorize, where you remember intuitive conceptual relationships, and the equations just sort of fall into place. That's what I.
Zombie robot sheep, $10. If light has no mass, how can light be captured by a black hole's gravity?
Well, first of all, no, it has no rest mass.
Mm-hmm.
It has energy, which and it acts like it has real momentum. So E equals P
MC squared.
Now the full formula he's talking about.
So P, its momentum P equals E over C, and so but even that notwithstanding, black holes and their gravity affect mass and energy since they're equivalent. So therefore, light is subject to the local curvature of the universe. So they say things like gravity tells. So matter tells space-time how to curve, and space-time tells matter how to move. And light is thrown into the mix because it has an equivalent mass or momentum due to its energy divided by the speed of light, and so it is going to be subject to the gravitational forces. Or you could think of it as just a local geodesic of the universe.
That's what I look at. The way I look at space-time, I look at it. I literally look at light traveling through the shortest geodesic path through space-time. That's how I look at it, because I think it's intuitive looking that way.
The Einstein.
Hang on.
Yeah.
1 second. Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. I was just saying the Einsteinian picture, the GR picture, is
exactly
conceptual and easy to visualize.
And that's why when I try to explain, I did a video trying to explain to a person named Orphan Red, who's a flat earther.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, I think
she's
she's a Poe. But I did explain to her, explain to her how geodesic paths work. But she was very disinterested, and that's why I think somebody's a Poe. Because if they don't want to even look at the evidence to show that they're wrong, they're just doing it for shits and giggles. Right?
Yeah.
Annoying.
She's hot though. I mean, not hot. She's attractive. I mean, I wouldn't kick her out of my bedroom or anything,
Even if she's a flat earther.
You don't have to talk to them.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently.
Wait, you have to be vocal to have sex? I mean, news to me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if during it she's screaming, "No curve, no
Show
curve,
me the curve. Water finds its own level."
Yeah, but yeah, apparently photons actually do have mass. It's just so small that we cannot possibly measure it.
No, you gotta be
because
careful
they
here.
have inertia. They can actually produce thrust and all that kind of
Well, they
stuff.
don't produce thrust. Thrust is a whole different topic. Thrust has to do with the imparting of a momentum in a specific
A
direction.
laser does actually impart a tiny amount of force against whatever.
Yes, but a thrust is usually by ejecta of momentum, and you have conservation of linear momentum. Yes, it imparts momentum. That's why you have a solar sail, right? Photons will have momentum to them, such that if they hit something, they can impart a little bit of energy, right? But he's talking about mass. Mass. The mass itself is based upon the relativistic mass, and I think somebody put the actual formula in the live chat. Einstein's relativity equation, the energy mass equivalency formula, is distilled down. There are other factors to that formula when you factor in the absolute value of P, which is actually he has as E squared. MC squared raised to the fourth plus P raised to the second, C to raise to the second, which is right, but it's actually, you ends up being an absolute value of a vector, because the momentum is actually going to be a vector quantity. But it's not just as simple as saying, it just equals MC squared. There are other things to be taken into account. So when you talk about mass, you got to talk about rest mass as opposed to relativistic mass. Because you have
the E equals MC squared that everyone knows, that M is not the mass we see and deal with every day. That's what we in low speeds here on Earth would recall what we interact with as rest mass. But the M and E equals MC squared is the relativistic mass.
Yeah. Somebody's playing the video. Please turn it off.
Yep.
All right, John, if you got in the John Peterson in the live chat, you got a question to ask. I only have a little bit of window to see the live chat, so if it already went off my screen, I can't see it. Zombie Sheep says, if life has mass, it cannot travel at the speed of light. Well, yes and no. It can have relativistic mass. Anything that has a rest mass cannot travel at the speed of light because, as we're going to be talking about on Sunday, As you approach the speed of light, it's a asymptotic behavior, and you're
Yeah,
never going
you
to break that
gain
boundary.
mass as you get close to the speed of light.
From the
And-
perspective of someone who's not moving, that's why it's called relativity.
Right.
Yeah, and as you get closer and closer to the speed of light, eventually, in order to pass it, you would need infinite thrust to overcome the infinite mass.
So what do you call a particle that actually does travel faster than the speed of light, that you actually have to add energy to slow it down, to bring it down to the speed of light? What do you call it?
Tachyons.
I didn't ask the doctor in the house for a reason.
Wait,
Oh, right, it was
did I
a reflex.
actually know an answer? Did
I'm going to go with beryllium.
All right, I heard a question. What do you call the particle? What if it's not a tachyon? What's the opposite of a tachyon? Particles that you actually
An
have to give energy.
intaction?
What is it called again?
Intaction?
No, they're called tardions.
I was going to
Tardons,
say,
tardions.
I was basing this completely on my Star Trek knowledge, and I was like, I think he's talking about tachyons. And I was like, oh my God, it's right. Oh,
Yeah,
whoa.
you know what? Watch Star Trek. Get a PhD in physics.
Exactly.
If only it worked that way.
Tom,
You
Tom.
know-
Oh, good.
And what's cool though is you have this like grand overarching symmetry that you see when you look at the graph where there's a vertical asymptote at the speed of light. Light is born at the speed of light and always travels at that speed of light in a vacuum or whatever medium it's in. Everything to the left of it is born at less than the speed of light and can never accelerate up to or beyond it. And then tachyons are born at greater than the speed of light and cannot decelerate down to the speed of light. So you have this like perfectly symmetric thing with this vertical asymptote there with light separating.
With respect to C, yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Although speed of light can change in a medium, but that's only because you're slowing down the photons by a very complicated process.
Right.
Yeah, the only time that's constant is speed of light in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tom asked, can you send it to me on G+? Yeah, Tom, I can get it on G+. Ask me a question. John Peterson, thanks. Posted this twice. If no information can escape a black hole, shouldn't they be undetectable, effectively invisible? No, that's not what they're talking about. And again, I'm going to let this go to John here, but from my layperson idiotic understanding, the maximum amount of information that can be stored for a black hole is encoded on the event horizon of the black hole, on the surface, right, the surface of the black hole. So there's a direct relationship between entropy and informational systems. So when we're talking about is information conserved, it is saying that if something goes into that black hole, is the information that's required to describe the state of that system going in still available after it actually goes into the black hole and is destroyed? Is information
that's
conserved?
the information paradox.
Right, but it's actually is conserved on the black hole's event horizon. So there isn't information coming to us. We have no information about the black hole. That's the whole thing about the no-air theorem and a naked singularity. You cannot have a naked singularity, meaning that you can't have a singularity that is visible to us such that we can receive the information that goes into that black hole. But the information's still there. It's just encoded in that two-dimensional boundary condition.
Yeah.
The real question is what happens when Hawking radiation causes that singularity to evaporate.
So the information would be encoded on the Hawking radiation. I'm guessing, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the information is never
That's
completely
the thing.
destroyed.
We just don't know.
But okay, Ned, what principle is that called? What principle comes out of
Right.
the encoding of information on the surface area of a black hole, and which, by the way, is any surface area to any system.
Yeah, even you right now, any imaginary surface that encloses you, all the information of you and all the air inside it are on that surface.
Wait, you mean that?
itself.
What's that principle called, Ned? Come on, you can do it. You're Asgardian. You're supposed to know these things. You're from like the future.
Hey, I said I'm from space. I'm not from the future. Even in low Earth orbit, time dilution is only a few microseconds across several years. Give me a break
Still
here.
time. You should have known. You should have given me the pick for the lotto tomorrow. Okay, but you're from space because you reside. I mean, you're a citizen of outer space technically. So, do you know the principle is called? Goddess Agwent? Live chat? Anybody? The live chat's not getting this?
Does the live chat not know?
Oh, I got to update my live chat. I'm sorry. Oh yes, Kendall got it.
Kendall.
Yes, Kendall Frey, the holographic principle. Very good.
There you go.
Ah, yeah. That rings a bell now. Yeah.
Hey, Brant, do
See,
you want to
I
add on?
remember things, I just don't remember them.
The only thing I was going to add on was to an outside observer, wouldn't it look redshifted the entire as time progressed for the outside observer?
It would look infinitely redshifted.
The object
That's
going in
all
would
I
be
was gonna
redshifted, yeah.
Yep, that's all I was going to add.
Yeah, just the object.
Brand, are you surprised that I said what you would have said?
A little bit, yeah.
Why?
A little bit. Oh, because normally anything you say is all miles over my head.
Oh, I think you're going to say, like, you're always wrong, Steve.
No.
Like, okay, well, fine.
I was thinking tread very
you gotta
carefully.
remember,
good sir.
you guys don't know Brant, but Brant knows me from Twitter. He's seen all my dumpster fires. They're pretty hellish.
Some very impressive flames on those dumpster fires.
Aren't
I'll
they
tell
great?
you.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I have some great dumpster fires. The ones I started recently, they're still burning today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure.
I mean, hang on.
Sitting there like, what in the world? How is this even happening?
Oh, people love fucking with me on Twitter. They think I have a rule. If you want to play a game of gotcha with me, you better have something to actually come after me with. Because if not, I'm going to rip you a new one.
Isn't SI still butthurt about all that whole thing?
Who?
SI.
Oh, you're talking about the Hebrew Israelite guy?
Yeah.
Israelite guy? What's his name?
Yeah.
Southern Israel.
Southern Israelite.
Southern Israelite.
Yeah, no, not really. John says, I'm a neophyte squared on this subject. This is my first time in my life. I've been more confused after my question was answered. Well, we don't want to confuse people. Look.
Yeah.
Information is... Oh, hang on one
yeah.
second. Information is a very complicated thing. And by the way, I'm going to be writing a blog. I just haven't had time because of all this other shit going on. John Perry from Stated Clearly wants to talk about DNA being a code. I don't believe DNA is a code for multiple different reasons, which I'm going to get into with some specificity on a blog. And one of the things I do have to touch into is information, which is something I'm not really heavy on, but I do know a little about the DNA side of it. So I'm going to be explaining why it's not a code, but the concept of information is really kind of strange. People think information is like, okay, what we know. But that's not really what it means when it talks about information. Information is basically two things. It'd be one, what is required to describe a state of a system, right, and using like matrix equations. Or you can use what's called Shannon information, which is the amount of information that goes across a noisy channel based upon the entropy of the system in order to get a certain amount of information across in that channel. And maybe John can kind of explain it a little bit better. But in a nutshell, Shannon information is what's required based upon the noise in the channel with the entropy in the system to get across a communicative message without loss. So you have an actual intelligible message.
And Addie T. Hanro in the chat has a question to Steve. Can you ask Dr. Kroon what he thinks about Space Force?
You just did.
Space Force?
Yeah, that whole Trump...
Oh, you don't know about Space Force with Dr.
Well, I just know the word. I didn't look in. I just
Trump.
I'd rather not. Yeah, that's all I know about it. What did he actually say about what he wanted to do?
He wants to form a sixth military.
Yeah, 6th branch of the military, the Space Force.
Navy, Marines, Army, Air Force, National Guard, and Space Force.
I'm all for like space technology.
That's not
and
what this
space
is.
travel. And
No. This
is military.
Okay.
It's about 50 years too soon.
He had his TV on Star Trek and he saw Klingons were brown and was like, "We've got to defend against
Trump."
those things.
Okay, Trump is not a critical thinker. He's not a high level thinker. I'm sorry, guys. He's just not. Okay.
We're going to build a space wall and make the Klingons pay for it.
The funniest thing I saw all week was, and maybe in month, I'm gonna go with a month, was when Trump had arrived on 9/11 on the tarmac, and he was pumping his fist, and somebody actually screenshot it with a Photoshop of a Chuck E. Cheese with a little happy birthday cap. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, because that's exactly how I picture Trump. Just a little toddler going, "Oh yes, I'm going to Chuck E. Cheese for my birthday, even though it's a national, travesty." And I'm like, he thought it was a fucking pep rally. What the fuck is wrong with the dude?
He thinks everything is a pep rally. And yes, Skid Row, it is illegal to weaponize space, but come on, what is Trump giving a shit about any law?
Yeah, we can't.
So maybe no for the Space Force, but I'm all for other things that are sort of tangential derivatives of sort of that direction. I'm tired of governments continually defunding or shutting down aspects of NASA. Now we're like piggybacking on the Russian and
You ain't kidding, are you?
rockets.
Yeah.
So like maybe not a space force per se, but definitely money going back into space.
We gotta colonize other planets. We've got to go to the
We
stars.
got yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that's got to
So I talked about this a little bit before. So let's try to bring it up here now. The Alcubierre metric.
The what?
I hate pronouncing this guy's name. Alcubierre.
What is that?
Alcubierre?
Is that how you pronounce it? Is it French? I thought it was Alcubierre.
Oh no, the Albuquerque.
Albuquerque. Yeah, I can't pronounce his name.
yeah, okay. So the Albuquerque drive.
Is that how you pronounce his name? Is that literally how you pronounce? I always call it Alcubierre, but it's Alcubierre.
Albuquerque.
See how you butcher these names? I can't do French.
Tomato.
Sure, it works well enough for me. But now I know what you're talking about. But that was some solutions to Einstein's equations, which allow for a warp bubble. With some nuances thrown in there, which is that it has to extend infinitely far in one direction in time, meaning you can't get off that train.
But yeah, literally a warp bubble, exactly like from Star Trek, except you're stuck in it.
Yeah, that's the problem. How do you actually stop? If I want
there are ways to get out of it. It's just that his solutions didn't include those.
So if I wanted to go to the
and
nearest...
of course you need more energy than the entire observable universe to generate that.
Well, you need negative energy.
You need negative, not more energy. You need negative energy,
right.
which you could create it in small quantities in the lab.
I'm sure we can get past the technical aspects of it. I mean, I think that if we just can figure out how to actually build one. But let's say we did. How would you even plan something to say, I want to go to the nearest star, I want to go to Alpha Proxima, and I want to check out the planets there? How would you plan it so you knew, like, for example, when to stop riding the wave?
Well, you would calculate it beforehand, or better yet, you would have really advanced quantum computers on board that are your navigational calculations.
You'd have quantum hypercomputers on board or some crap like that.
Yeah, and it would be able to do all kinds of stuff really quick.
Now, what about the transient time? I mean, okay, so let's take into account if you're moving in space-time, one of the problems moving through space at high velocity is that you have things in space. You have micrometeorites, you have atomic particles, you have protons. The amount of energy of a proton hitting a ship traveling near relativistic speeds is enough to produce a gamma ray. Gamma rays are bad.
Deflector dish.
Well, hold on.
But we're not Star Trek, so I don't know how you would do a deflector dish.
So, guys, there's one little nuance that will kind of save the day here, and it's that the really funny thing about warp drive is you could describe them as the slowest thing in the universe because you're actually completely stationary.
The universe is moving around you.
The universe moving around you.
And so around that bubble, like a straight line would go like this around you, including trajectories of like interstellar gas.
Right, and that was going to be my point. Using this metric, you wouldn't have the problem of a space-like journey.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't have the micrometeorites.
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah.
They would literally, like you said, it would basically just detour around you.
Yeah.
The universe would continue as you move, but here's where I get confused. Here's where my mind shuts down. If you're not moving with respect to the universe, then what actual metric are you moving? I mean, it's like somehow there's this like grid in the universe that's stable, that exists, regardless of anything else, and you're fixed on that. It seems. Yet that is contrary to everything we know about space-time. Well, because there's no absolute frame of reference.
Well, you think of it more as like if you're in like a river, and you have this device that sucks water in and shoots it out the back, sort of like a human centipede.
Okay, sure.
I was going for jet speed,
no way I would have gone with it.
Sure.
But you are fixed with respect to something. I mean, you have the water moving around you. It's going in one end, coming out the other.
Yeah, it's a poor analogy, but it's a poor analogy.
So what is it you're fixed to? Because this is where it actually goes into philosophy. This actually goes into more what's called reductionism with respect to time, or Platonism with respect to time. What does it actually mean to have time? We measure time, again, because we see observational changes in the universe. But if there's no change in the entire universe, if nothing literally changed in the universe, no motion, not even the molecular level, not on the atomic level, nothing to distinguish any period from any other period, would time actually exist?
That's a whole other philosophical debate that
That's why I call it
am
philosophy.
not equipped to get
Well,
into.
I think yes, in the same sense that dimensions of space would exist still. If you think of the whole like interwoven sort of paradigm of space time.
See, I would tend to know. I'm more of a reductionist than a Platonist when it comes to that. Now, again, these are completely philosophical discussions, not scientific.
Sure.
They can go either way on it, right? It's just how you want to.
Right.
No matter how you can view it either way. It doesn't change the equations, right? So this is a philosophical question. But I would think that no, time wouldn't exist because.
Well, it wouldn't pass or elapse, but so you're saying it's like,
I mean, non-existent at that point, because if time is what we measure by change, then if there's no change, what are we saying time actually is then? We're saying it's an independent variable that has no meaning at that point.
Well, time is what keeps everything from happening all at once, right?
Time is an illusion.
Okay.
Lunchtime doubly so.
Okay, he's going to B theory of time here, but that is true. Time is what prevents everything from happening. Okay, you're a Doctor Who fan, aren't you?
And space is what keeps everything from happening in the same spot.
Are you a Doctor Who fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very Whovian of you.
I never heard him say that. Did he say?
No, but that's very that's very Whovian.
Whovian, okay.
Yeah, that's very Whovian.
Cool.
What, like a Hoover?
No,
A
Doctor
Hoover.
Whovian. Doctor Who. You know.
Talking
Aye.
about timey-wimey, spacey ways.
Wimey-timey, yeah, exactly. That's what he would say, yes.
Ah, yeah. Timey-wimey, spacey.
I've got to fill my drink because, we're getting deep into this shit, so.
Hmm.
Give me a minute while you guys
Yeah, you are way too sober for this.
I am way too sober for this, yeah. When I get drunk, it actually gets really interesting because then I think kind of creatively. So, one sec. By the way, Brand, is that a...
I'm almost
you hanging in
3
there,
years
Brant?
sober for this.
What are you drinking?
Oh yeah, I'm
What's a
hanging.
Sprite?
This is a Mountain Dew.
Oh my
I'm-
god, you're so hardcore.
No
dude.
sponsor. No
You
sponsor.
lucky bastard. Over here in Australia, we only get Mountain Dew energized.
That's awful.
Yeah. It tastes like feet.
I've been thinking about the last few days, just I don't know why it keeps coming back, but the heat death of the universe, and when all that's left is radiation, if there'll still be time as we, if the passage of time will even...
Would the universe collapse in on itself and form another Big Bang by that point?
Yeah, like if you go back to Isaac Asimov's The Last Question, yeah, it's the same.
And at any rate, I've got to get going, but it's been nice talking with you.
Ned, you're going?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've got some stuff to attend to in the house.
Are you going to make an omelet?
No.
Oh, I like omelets at nighttime. I'll make
Well,
one
for me, it's actually 11:30 a.m., so...
Oh. Well, then all the more better for a brunch omelet.
I once made an omelet on Ambien, and I was completely asleep, and I woke up on the kitchen floor with omelet all over my chest.
I thought you were saying I was making an omelet on Ambien. I woke up and found out I was trying to fry my testicles. Now that would have been a funny story.
Anyway, see ya.
Bye, Ned.
Bye, Ned. So we're going to go to the live chat. Oh my god, do we have people watching? I think we're like 100 people watching.
100 people?
Yeah, it's a slow night. It's Friday. Fridays are not our popular nights.
Yeah.
It's not you.
Go to my channel and subscribe. Go to my channel and subscribe.
Unsubscribe?
No, subscribe.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get to that one of these days.
Not the heat death of my channel.
So, okay, let's talk about heat death. So, what are the various ways the universe can end? Heat death, big crunch, big rip. What else we got?
So, what is the big rip? I hear that, but I don't know.
Thrown out, but the big crunch has been thrown out. The big rip is where the universe its expansion. Oh gosh, the booze is hitting. Sorry.
I know, I'm telling you, brother. I've been there.
Expansion
We're there,
is
man. We're there.
accelerated, but it's an open acceleration. So it actually, after an eternity, it doesn't have zero speed. Like it's like going so fast, the space time like rips literally. And what we have right now is an accelerated expansion still, but it's a flat expansion. So it'll like pretty much just keep going but not rift.
All right, so let's try to break this down a little bit.
Go either way.
So what he's trying to say is, if I think I can remember this correctly, the local geometry is such that the universe is flat within about what's called 6 sigma. So that would entail that the universe will continue expanding indefinitely. But if the universe was expanding greater, if the acceleration was greater than, well, much greater, I think it is when it is now, that would literally expand so fast that space-time itself would not be able to expand fast enough to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would rip apart. So there would be no particles. There'd be nothing. It would just literally the disintegration of the universe, for that matter. The heat death is different. Like heat death is the fact that you have such high entropy that you have just a super of photons at that point. Right?
Yeah, everything's been run down. It's just radiation. All the stars and
it's
stuff.
It's just radiation. You're at the lowest ground state, and well, I guess well, even still, wouldn't the heat death? I mean, what happens after the heat? Just well, actually, it couldn't even. The thing with heat is heat has to transfer somewhere. You can't store heat, so heat has to be in motion. So if you have heat death, you're at the point where the heat can't be radiating anywhere. You're just literally at the lowest potential possible ground state for the universe. Would you not be?
Yeah, you just infinitely approach absolute zero without ever reaching it, and without any transfer of any energy or anything happening or change. It would be kind of boring.
That would be bizarre. I mean, how would you even have it approaching absolute zero if you don't have heat transfer? And by the way, weird things happen when you get down to absolute zero.
Well, radiative trans. You don't have to have conductive energy.
Okay, but it still has to radiate to somewhere.
Well, then then it would be cosmological depletion of local energy, like a cosmological redshift.
So it'd just be one gigantic cosmological redshift.
Yeah,
that's bizarre. Weird things happen when you start wondering what happens at the end of the universe.
Like even where like a gamma ray would now be like have like a wavelength of like 100 parsecs, like make
so it'd be beyond low
frequency. Like a radio wave look like a supercharged.
Yeah, it'd be like super low AM radio.
Yeah. Talk about a Friday night, I'll tell you that.
Hey, what do you listen to? Oh, the destruction of the universe. Huh? Yeah, okay. But I would think that, I mean, isn't there some kind of lower bound of how low you can go as far as of wavelength? I mean, eventually, wouldn't people almost like imperceptibly different between that and almost like a straight line? What would a straight line wavelength look like? No variation in amplitude.
Yeah, just be infinitely redshifted to
bizarre,
zero energy.
Is it a wave at that point, though? It's not a wave. What the hell is it?
Not a wave.
So what is it?
Infinitely stretched out.
I think we broke science. I don't know what the hell that would mean.
It'd be like when you could, if you were to freeze light in time, or equivalently to ride alongside it at the exact speed of light, it would look frozen in time. It wouldn't be waving. And so this would be kind of similar, except for we're at rest somewhere in this soup, and light itself has been stretched down to almost zero, but it wouldn't ever reach a straight line.
It would never. You would not want to be around
at
those
eternity,
conditions.
Which is not a number. Then it would be a straight line, but you never reach that. Limits again.
Well, math though. The great thing about math is you can actually take a limit and get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, somebody today, don't remember their name, had told me that I was begging the question in one of my math proofs because I used assumptions. And I'm like, okay, let's look at this here, guys. First of all, anybody who's ever done a math proof knows that you have assumptions. That's what a proof is. You start with assumptions. That's what.
Well, they're sometimes even just called premises, and as long as each premise is true or axiomatic, then the conclusion could logically follow.
Yes.
So he was
saying I was begging the question. The begging question means that you can actually derive a conclusion from any single premise. And the mathematical proof that I used was just an algebraic proof, a very simple one, that Euler used in one of his books to show that 9.99 repeating equals 10. Euler used it himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Euler can use this, I can use it. Is not begging the question, because I got to tell you, if you're going to tell me you're smarter than Euler, you're going to lose.
Yeah, and that's axiomatic.
Yeah, because he was probably one of the greatest mathematicians of all time. So Sean G, flat earther. Hi, flat earther. By the way, we Bremen Coke night, so flat earthers.
Like, is it a real flat earther or just someone who's just?
I'm going to go on a limb and I'm going to say I actually believe Shanji.
Okay, all right,
that he
we'll
actually is
believe him.
yeah, I mean, he'd come in here. I'll give him the link. Shanji, he says, if there's nothing in the universe, then what's beyond the expansion? Well, the problem with that question is there is nothing to be even had beyond the expansion. That region doesn't exist. There's no existence of any kind. Oh, Cookie became a
I had
Patreon.
a good question, or
Cookie.
just a
I got a new
something
Patreon.
I've been. Sorry.
I was going to say, I got a new Patreon real quick. Yay! Somebody likes this kind of stuff.
Cool.
So thank you, Cookie, my friend.
I need those too. Join my Patreon.
Yeah, get some astrophysicists on and talk about stuff we talk about. There you go. Hey, I may not see. Okay, you know what's funny is, I love the new skeptic community. Don't get me wrong, Goddess. You know I do, right? I think you guys are all fantastic. I mean, I'm sorry that you have to deal with Cirrus, but no, I love you, Cirrus. But I couldn't make a channel just dedicated to that kind of content, even if I was an atheist, right? And I find that one of the things that's limiting a lot of the atheistic content out there is the fact that they basically talk about the same things that have been talked about ad nauseum. How many times can you disprove certain things? How many times can you say, oh, look, the theist made a bad argument? It gets a little antiquated at some point, right? So that's why I don't think that a lot of atheist channels stick around for that very reason, because they come on the scene, they say the same things that every other atheist has said before. Sometimes they do it better and a higher production value, but they don't add anything to the dialogue as far as new content, new arguments.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, one of the benefits of not being atheist is that I can get on anybody for having bad arguments. And I think I do add new arguments because I actually put them out, not only on Twitter and G+, but I actually try to give something back as far as new content, new things to talk about, my own opinions. And if you don't formulate your own opinions, you get kind of mixed up with the rest of everybody else, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. On my channel, I don't just talk about atheism.
No, I know you have good. I like your channel. You know I do.
Yeah. But a lot of people, they do get in that pattern of that's the only thing that they talk about. And after a while, they get burnt out. It's easy to hit the burnout zone when that's the only thing you've been talking about and you're responding to the exact same questions in every single video. And I mean, I know I've told you before, the very first time you asked me a question, you pissed me off so badly. And then I went back and looked through it and was like, well, but wait, this all makes sense.
And I appreciate that. I mean,
okay.
And you're not the only ones that have said that, too. And that's one of the reasons why I've kind of stuck around so long is that agree with me or disagree with me, fine. But if you disagree with me, give me a good argument. And if you don't disagree with me, tell me why. I mean, I'd like to know why you agree with me, too. I don't like to have this tribalism. But I think that the people like, look at TJ, Kirk. He would never got where he was if he didn't put forth his own positions on things. And now, granted, I don't agree with him, but he'll at least put himself out there. And I notice a lot of people are not willing to do that. And because of which, they're just going to fall by the wayside. If you're not like Mr. Atheist. Mr. Atheist will put forth his opinion. Love him, hate him, agree with him or disagree with him, it don't matter. He has opinions. And you got to respect Jimmy for that. You got to.
Well, yeah, and I've had several people come up to me recently and ask me about, they were just starting a channel, and I try to tell them, keep your unique voice. Because so many people, they'll start a channel, and after a little while, they become almost cookie cutter channels of older channels that's been popular for a while, so they think maybe if they do that, it's going to get them subs, and maybe it does, but at the same time, they're not being true to themselves, and it becomes just a chore.
It does get them subs, but it doesn't get them watched. Okay, I mean, and it doesn't get people involved. I do not have. You don't see me punch up, right? You've never seen. I have 700 videos on this channel. I don't punch up. I don't go, oh look, such and such has 1 billion subs. I disagree with them. Let me make a video. I disagree with a lot of people. I mean, I have the utmost respect for them, but I still disagree. Like rationality rules. We don't agree on certain things, but we agree on other things. But I never made a video going, oh look, I'm going to go after rationality rules, and I still have a name for myself because you don't have to always punch up. And that's what I see a lot of the smaller channels. They're like, I'm going to say something really fucking stupid, get some bigger channel to notice me, and then make a name for myself. I'm sorry. I I don't like
No.
that way of doing it.
I don't
works,
either.
maybe.
I don't either. And you also have other channels that are trying desperately to stay relevant, so they're trying to pick fights any way they can.
Yes. And I hate that, dude. I mean, look, I actually have 3 channels. I don't do much on the other channel, the Great Debate Community channel, but I have to provide content. And this channel, I provide content on Define One Science. I invite people in, like, obviously like Dr. Kroon. We have fun. This is a fun channel, right?
Yeah.
But we still talk about cool shit. Now, NonSequitur, that's obviously a high production. That takes a lot of fucking work to do. People don't even realize when you're doing a stream that many days out of the week, and even know that Kyle does 2 more streams than I do because I decided I only want to do 4 days a week because I have other things, and plus we split the responsibilities, right? I mean, he has his things I do, and I have mine, and I do a lot more of the marketing. I mean, I really spend a lot of time getting the names out there, getting guests, and things of that nature. He does a lot with the artwork, right? So we split our task, and I do the podcast stuff, but that takes a considerable amount of time. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this channel, I haven't done as much as I would want to, but I'm still making it count because my Patreon for this channel is my sole source of income. I have not seen one single penny from NonSequitur Show yet because we're going to figure it out at the end of the year. We want to make sure that Dave is taken care of because he's our producer and he's having issues. So we've just not touched anything. So we're going to figure it out at the end. So I have to rely on this channel. So that's why I want to put forth content that people like watching, where they learn. Whether they get mad or they like, it doesn't matter. If they're entertained and they're involved, that's my goal. You don't have to agree with me. I don't want tribalism. People say, "Oh, Steve lives in an echo chamber." The fuck I do. Come on in. Except for some of the great debate people, the old people. They're not welcome. But I mean, everybody else.
Oh yeah, I am fully capable of pissing many people off. I've learned that by coming out as not a lack theist, but actually saying I do not believe.
Oh, you must have pissed Aaron off.
So
Aaron and I love each other. Don't get me wrong. We've known each other for quite some time now, but Aaron's not a big fan of my push for that. He's just not.
Like I understand. Like when I first became an atheist, I was reading Dawkins and I was watching a lot of YouTube channels, and that was basically the definition that they were going with, that agnostic atheism was the way to be the most intellectually honest. Then I started reading more and more and looking at philosophical atheism and the different stances like that, basically because of the discussion that we had where I was just so pissed off. I was like, I'm going to prove him wrong.
I'm so sorry because everything's like a blur at a certain point, but didn't you facilitate the conversation with me and what was his name?
God is Not Good.
God is Not Good. Wasn't that you on your channel?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and this was before that.
Great discussion, by the way.
Really,
I really did enjoy talking to him.
Yeah, it was an awesome chat that we had. It was definitely not a dumpster fire, which I was very happy with.
People think that invite me on. I don't get it. People think
no.
dumpster fire. I'm like, no. I've been on a lot of things. I don't.
No, I just knew that you were both very opinionated on the topic.
He listened.
He listened,
he really
and it was awesome. But yeah, I come out and say, I'm not an agnostic atheist, and that can just piss people off by me saying that.
I don't understand why that would be upsetting to some people.
Well, the only other agnostic atheist I know him in real life, is also a white supremacist. So I only have 2 people to compare with.
Well, I know people like label themselves that. My argument is more fundamental, like as to why it really doesn't make sense to do that, especially if you call yourself if you don't believe in God, that's your only reason for calling yourself an atheist. It makes absolutely no sense to call yourself an agnostic atheist at that point. It's just ridiculous. But
I think most people are either they're more towards the strong atheist or agnostic.
Yes.
But they use the colloquial just because it's the popular thing. that people are all using.
Well, sorry, I'm not one of the popular kids in that
No,
respect. And it's what's weird, dude, is that I get chastised for actually being formal. I get chastised for actually doing things that make sense from a formal academic point of view. Like, for example, John, in physics, you tend to have rigor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I say a certain word to you, it may mean something to you than it does to somebody else who's a layperson, right?
Yeah. Oh, I actually have a very strong pet peeve for one particular misuse of a scientific word. Theory. I was just a theory. I was still just a theory. I have a theory why caps per. I have a theory why Sally Jane III went to prom with, such and such. That's not come on.
It's a guess or hypothesis.
Yeah, that's what it means to them. But theory actually is in some ways more powerful than law.
Yes.
And that's a bold statement.
No,
I can actually explain it. But they're just sort of like parallel things. Like laws and facts live in like this bubble, observable. They're almost like, think of laws just like an axiomatic truth that has a mathematical description, like Newton's law of gravitation. You can mathematically describe how its force, changes over distance, and orbits and stuff are derived from that. And then like Einstein's theory of general relativity explains why. It gives you this like framework, and you have like Minkowski space to work with, and you have all these predictions. See, that's another thing. Laws don't really make predictions. Theories, and I forget who said this, but like they said there can be no stronger test of an idea than its predictive powers.
I think theories are higher than laws. I mean, I know I've seen it written either way, but the reason I personally will place a theory higher than law, because a theory would encapsulate everything that's factual and law. Everything
a wide variety of phenomena.
Christy real quick said Steve makes everyone question everything. I do. You know what? What's wrong with that? Look, I think that the fact that I can actually make people stop and take pause and think, that's the kind of thing that street epistemologists die for, right? When they have that moment where a person goes, I think they go about it a little bit the wrong way. But the principle behind a Socratic method, the principle behind getting a person to actually think critically and rationally is universal.
Yeah.
So I did have a question, and it's based on the theories that we're talking about. When you're speaking of quantum theory, a lot of people will say, well, that's not provable. We don't have methods to actually test these and experiment with them.
No, not true.
So it's not true.
Actually,
I would like you to go.
I'm sorry.
That's kind of the question. I wanted you to go into why this is a theory.
So I have one little tidbit that I would like to say first, which is that of any scientific thing, any scientific entity or model or theory or law in the entire history of humankind, quantum mechanics has been attested with the highest precision. For example, if you consider 100% uncertainty as the width from like LA to New York, place the width of a human hair somewhere around Kansas. They can measure like that. I saw an article about something about the electron sphericity in terms of its charge distribution, and they did this experiment and got it to within an accuracy that was analogous to measuring the mass of the Eiffel Tower and being able to discern a hummingbird on it.
It's ridiculous how specified we can get with the measurement we can in quantum mechanics.
It's extremely
because we know the rules. Here's the thing again, and I know I'm talking way out of my pay grade here, obviously, but the thing about quantum mechanics is we may not know exactly why it is the way it is, but we do know how certain things should act. We understand that if you have an entanglement and you have a particle spinning up, the other particle will spin down after observation. We know this. It's just been every time without fail. We know that that's something that has to be, and there are actually mathematical reasons why that has to be. But we still don't understand why it is the way it is. We just don't know. Quantum mechanics.
Yeah, there's like 6 or some odd of the top quantum mechanical interpretations, and the most popular is the Copenhagen interpretation, and there's that's the one. But of all of them, none of them even gets a simple majority. There's like a 33% These are old numbers, but 25%, 33% for like the mini worlds interpretation. I think that was like 17%. This was probably like in the early 90s or some crap. But not a single one of them. No. Well, so like all of these interpretations of quantum mechanics are equally valid in the sense that they give the same predictability, and so herein lies the.
I get you. That would make sense because even
the sort of
they would be the same predictability.
The sort of philosophy of it comes into like reading into the equations more than you really should. What are the implications? These interpretations all produce equally valid results experimentally, because that's the foundation of the theory. And so not a single one of them has like a simple majority even, but the most popular is the Copenhagen interpretation. So there's that little spiel. And the Big Bang Theory has a neat little bit about that when Howard's trying to take a physics graduate class with Sheldon as the teacher. He has a neat little, if you guys want to look that up, I don't remember which season or episode, which is a shame because I'm like a walking, talking advertisement of CBS's TV hit comedy series, Big Bang Theory.
I think he is Sheldon, they based it on him. Let's go with that. There's a couple things on that. One, in order for quantum mechanics to make sense, it does have to have predictable outcomes. We have to know the states of particles, and in order to do that, we have determined, correct me if I'm not wrong, but there is no information in the actual system as far as a local variable that can be determined to show when certain things decay. And I use this in our example of effect without a cause multiple times, that you can have a spontaneous fission or a weak nuclear decay. There is nothing to be had informational-wise to determine when that decay will happen. So it's not like we just don't know. We're not privy to that information. It is that information doesn't exist. It is completely random by all sense of the word stochastic.
Yeah.
And by the way, somebody had asked this. They asked about vacuum decay. They wanted me to describe it. Oh, this is kind of hard. The way I understand a vacuum decay, and this probably would go back to Krauss's book, the universe from nothing. If I understand it correctly, the universe existed in a system which was called a metastable false vacuum, which was a state of not exactly ground level, but a state where the universe would switch between the lowest possible energy state and something just whatever it would be to be slightly higher than that state. So it would be metastable, and because it would do that, you have what's called an energy-time relationship, very similar to mass versus velocity. So mass versus position. So the Heisenberg uncertainty would be that we never can know the exact momentum and position of a particle with exact numbers at the same time. If we know more about position of the particle, we know less about the momentum, and vice versa. Well, the energy-time equivalency relationship is very similar. And because of that relationship, and because of the instabilities in the actual Higgs field, which would be the metastable false vacuum that imparts mass, the vacuum decay in the Higgs field will actually produce these bubbles.
Yeah.
And that would actually somehow produce some kind of actual real-world phenomenon, as I understand it.
Yeah, that spreads out and cancels out the universe as it expands outward, like at the speed of light.
And it would suck.
Yeah.
So in a totally completely layperson's point of view, did I at least get in the bullet points?
Oh yeah, I would think so. Well, it's up to the live chat to see how much of them kind of pictured what you were.
Somebody today on my Facebook was like telling me, Steve, you're not a layperson. I'm like, the fuck I'm not. I am like totally a layperson. I never want anybody to say that I'm not, because I have no formal expertise in anything. I just took nuclear stuff in college.
Oh yeah, you're a nuclear engineer, I thought, with a master's degree.
Me? No, I don't have a degree of any kind.
Not even a bachelor's?
Not even a bachelor's. No, I don't.
Huh.
Well, I have enough credits for a bachelor's degree. I took enough college courses, but I didn't finish my degree, so that's why I make it very clear I am a layperson. But that doesn't mean I don't remember the shit that I learned in college, right, or stuff that I learned in nuke school. But I am a true layperson. Is that hard to? I mean, You look stunned.
Our minds are all blown.
You actually thought that I had a master's degree? I'm flattered, but no.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say that you're several sigma above like the aggregate national average of knowledge on a wide variety of scientific topics.
Well, I appreciate that.
And I think it's going to be great to talk to you more in the future as well as we develop these shows.
I read a lot.
I never
A lot.
I never thought you had a master's. Just to
I didn't think you had a master's.
Well, that's because you read my Twitter. You know I'm an idiot on Twitter. Twitter's my dumpster fire. I made it very clear to people. Look, Twitter is my training ground. I practice my skills on Twitter. I practice my argumentation, and I tell people, look, if you want to argue with me, that's great. I want a good dialogue. My rule of thumb is this: you present to me a good rebuttal, I'm gonna note it. I'm gonna go, that's a good point. If you present to me an excellent rebuttal, I'll probably change my position. If you present to me a shitty rebuttal, I'm going to call you out on it. And if you really, really, really present a shitty one, I'm going to mock the fuck out of you. It works. It's a good rule of thumb.
But I mean, that's the same way as Mrs. Snarky. She doesn't have any degrees, but she has enough credits to have a bachelor's degree in sociology or psychology. She went to college forever, but never got the degree. I have a bachelor's in accounting, in accounting and business management. Well, I have bachelor's degrees in those.
Jay didn't finish a degree, and she was one of the smartest women I've ever known in my life.
She was
brilliant. By the way, I hated accounting. I literally, you're going to hate me for this, but I literally dropped out of accounting 2 halfway through the course.
Oh, geez.
I did accounting 1, intro to accounting and accounting 1. I was going to finish my degree in business administration because I switched from science to business administration, but I was so goddamn bored I couldn't actually do it, dude.
You know,
I
honestly almost dropped accounting because my intro to accounting course, I took it and the instructor says, all accounting is done on software now. We're not even going to deal with ledgers. You'll never have to deal with
ours was ledgers. We had two double book entries.
That's the thing. Once I got into accounting 1, they were like, okay, so you now all know how to use a ledger. We're going on to this. And I'm like,
oh, you're like, oh, no. It's all software. You're like,
no, we were taught it on software.
Oh, that sucks, dude.
Oh, but
no,
yeah.
we actually learned the whole double book entry ledgers and doing fiscal reporting, profit and loss statements. I died. Intro wasn't bad. Intro was easy. But the accounting 1, I was like, this is so dull. And when I got into accounting 2, I literally just dropped it halfway through. And I'm like, I'm not going to finish this degree. I couldn't do it. I was bored out of my mind. I was working, and I was like, I'm not interested in this. I have to be interested in something to take the course. Because I had 4.0 in college one semester. I had Dean's List. But I have to be interested in the subjects I took in order to get an A. If not, I don't go. I get bored.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I feel a little undereducated now. I dropped out in 10th grade and got my GED.
Well, do you know that Dr. Kroon can't do 6th grade math?
Yeah, I can't. I don't know 6th grade math.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Technically.
Well, I can't spell past like a 8th grade level.
Tell him your story why you didn't take 6th grade math.
Yeah, so I skipped 6th grade because it kind of felt a little like 5th and 4th, so I just sort of jumped to 7th. And it was an incremental increase in my...
So if I remember correctly, because my daughter, last year or two, she took 6th grade math. She was learning box plots. So in other words, you don't know how to do box plots then, probably.
Right, yeah.
That would suck for an astrophysicist.
Fundamentalist. I do more fundamental stuff.
Yeah, for a PhD not to know how a box plot works, that's pretty scary. And speaking of somebody who skipped most of their education, hey, Rags.
Hey, I heard people talking about box plots, and I thought I needed to hop in here to talk about the box plots with you.
Your expertise on box plotting?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a box plot?
I've ever seen a box. No, I read a story about one once. I think it was a romance novel.
Yeah, I think. Well, if you get some old editions of Playboy back in the old editions, you can see some like hot stories about boxing. Or boxes.
Yeah, the articles on those were really, really good. I liked them. It's the insight into the industry that
the
really
cartoons were amazing back then. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, everyone had big tits. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Genetics?
I don't know. Maybe things go in and out of phase.
Women don't look the same they did in the 80s.
Everyone shaves now.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah.
That's not what I grew up looking at.
Algebra is the way to go, women.
It used to be if you wanted to fuck somebody, you had to bring like a machete or something.
Yeah.
We've gone from physics to college to Bush.
It is literally rum and coke night.
So hold on, but Steve, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but Steve, I have a question for you.
Please.
Okay, so from your
PhD asking me questions.
Well, it's not a physics question, although I
Good,
do have.
I'll make it up as I go along.
It was about breasts.
No, it's not. But well, kind of. It's kind of about
Good. Breast cancer.
Yeah, boy.
Questions about breast are good.
I might have to explain what I mean by that after I ask the question.
Okay.
But my question for Steve is, as you are doing these non-sequitur show dumpster fires, and I've watched a good deal of them, at least the flat earth ones. Those are the ones that are the most entertaining and simultaneously depressing to watch. What is going through your mind when you have someone who just won't stick to the format of presenting positive evidence for their model, and you have a 2-hour episode where they refuse to do that, and then they're essentially entirely, like, completely shamelessly emasculated intellectually, at least, broadcast live, and then they turn right around the next morning and go back to their many subscribers like they were victorious. Like, what, like, is there any possible hope for in the future where you can get a flat earther who will actually present something other than where's the curve and all that?
I can tell you what I would wish to be going through my mind, and that'd be a bullet during those circumstances. Here's something we have to all realize, okay? And by the way, Sean G, if you're out there, come on in. I gave you the link. You're a flat earther. Come on in. When you're dealing with flat earthers, we all know from experience, we're going to call this a posteriori, because we know this from observation, that flat earthers do not have a model that works. They just don't. They most of them recognize it, but some don't. But for the most part, even they recognize they have no model. They will never give evidence for their own position because there is none to be given. Even comedically, there just isn't, because everything they have has been debunked thoroughly and ad nauseum. So we know going into that conversation that they're not going to do that. Now, I got to admit that SI took a novel approach. His approach was this, and it was flawed from the get-go. And this is what I brought to everybody's attention. He was trying to argue from the position of a disjunctive syllogism. And the way a disjunctive syllogism works is that you have P or Q, and this is an exclusive or. So it's P or Q exclusively. So if Q doesn't exist, if you don't have Q, not Q, you must have P. So if I say, hey, Brant, do you want chicken or fish for dinner? And you say, I don't want fish, what does that tell me you want?
Chicken.
Chicken,
Normally,
very good.
He's nuts.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so
it goes back to that education of mine.
okay, it works though. You got it right. Good deal. Drink more Mountain Dew. It's good for you. 48
Absolutely.
grams of sugar. That shit, isn't it? How many grams of sugar is that? It's like 48 grams. Isn't it?
Enough to cause instant diabetes, I think.
I think so. I think you have type 1.
Yep, 48.
Yeah, see, I used to drink a lot of Mountain Dew, so I knew that off the top of my head. I don't drink it any longer. So, good guess, though. Huh? Actually, I kind of knew that. So anyways, with a disjunctive syllogism, so in that particular case, that would be true, right? He doesn't want one, but he has the other. But that assumes there are no other possibilities. We all know that I can have an infinite amount of possibilities for dinner. So that disjunctive syllogism is not a true dichotomy. So he's trying to argue that if he can show that Red's position, which was the ball Earth, was not true, it would be, by disjunctive syllogism, that the flat Earth must be true. But by the same token, that's not the case, because even if it showed that Res was wrong, there's still an infinite number of things that it could be. He has a false dichotomy.
Yep.
And I pointed that out to him, but he didn't understand that, because he just wanted to throw out things like, oh, it's modus tollens or disjunctive syllogism. No, it's not. It's not. Who did we lose? Somebody left.
Rags.
We weren't talking about Polygon enough.
Oh, Rags missed.
Polygon really likes triangular boobies. I don't know
This is
why.
a strange system, this Zoom thing, isn't it?
Not for us.
It's fucking retarded.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on polygonic boobs, by the way? Polygon boobs.
Every time Polygon writes an article about boobs, it's always this preachy nonsense.
Well, I meant like triangular boobs, like
like Tomb Raider?
Tomb Raider, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll take triangle boobs over no boobs.
Good point.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said about leaving a lot to the imagination. Like, like if you know a character has boobs, and you can't really see them, so you imagine them in your head.
Kind of legal angel. Was it legal angels or something?
It's Schrodinger's chesticles, whatever it's called.
Something
I don't
like
know.
that. Is there a wave function equation for boobs?
I think there is.
Could be.
In a vacuum, certainly.
Is it true that Laura Croft was an accident, that it was a joke, and then it was accidentally left in?
She's the protagonist.
No. That her breasts, the size they were in the original game, was a joke that the programmer did to like get some laughs with the other people, and then they forgot to change them back.
They don't seem outlandishly large.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Because I'm looking at some pictures back in the day, but it's not like ridiculous. They're
decent size.
They're hefty,
But they're not
Definitely
they're not like triple E's or something.
Yeah, definitely a buxom lass, but I mean it's nothing ridiculous, nothing silly.
Yeah.
I mean they're smaller than what's her face who did the movies.
Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie. Yeah, they're smaller than Angelina Jolie's. So.
Yeah. But basically, maybe it's an urban legend. I'd have to look into it. But it was that they had increased the size.
We have to ask the resident lesbian in the chat. Christy, what do you think? She says they're huge. That's all we need to know. We always have our token lesbian for us.
But you know what? Like, one thing about me is, like, I get labeled as like this rabid SJW, and I'm not really a rabid SJW in any way. But
video games, I've never heard you call that.
I've been called that in my comments by numerous people and on Twitter. Like one person that loves to call me an SJW is Deconverted Man.
Well, look who you're dealing with. Deconverted Man has issues, straight up issues.
But I've never looked at a comic or played a video game and cared anything about really the size of the breasts or anything along those lines.
We're still talking about breasts.
But also there's also
what are you guys talking about?
He's so pure.
Right now there's this debate about Spider-Man that it portrays the police in such a positive light.
Why would Spider-Man have boobs?
But no, it's a political thing with Spider-Man.
Yeah, there's a controversy about the way that you basically work with the police. Even though the opening mission is you taking down corrupt cops, a criticism of the game is that it avoids a social discussion because Spider-Man helps the cops take down the criminals and stuff like that. It doesn't portray the cops negatively. Basically, is what they're saying.
I think that people just seriously look for controversy.
Yes,
and
they do.
Create it, even if there is no controvery. Like,
yeah, for goodness.
Although I watched Deadpool 2 the other night.
There you go. There's a movie.
Deadpool is awesome.
Deadpool 2 is good. It's not as good as the first.
No. I think Deadpool first was better, but I think Deadpool is one of my all-time favorite superheroes. He's just
it had a lot of that same sarcastic humor and flair.
I think it's just
the juggernaut with the pool.
Exactly, and I love the fact that he realizes he's a fucking fictional character. He knows it.
Oh damn! The baby penis scene. That's so hilarious.
People like that. There's a character who's glib and offensive, and he doesn't care about being politically correct. He's just that way, and people like to see that. Yeah. For a lot of people, it's a wonderful break from a lot of things being sanitized.
Oh yeah, like when I'm playing a game, I'm not wanting to play. Like I made the comment the other day about Spider-Man. I'm playing a game about Spider-Man. I'm not playing Police Simulator 2018.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Real quick, we got a question for John here. The question is how is there any actual evidence that leads to the multiverse?
Not that I'm aware of.
I would say depends what you mean by evidence. There is something out there that's called dark flow. And
don't.
well, I mean, again, we're going to interpret. You can interpret it the way you want, right?
Yeah.
So when you say, "Is there evidence?" Depends what you mean by evidence.
Well, it's noteworthy.
It's noteworthy. Yeah, I'm not going to say dark flow is evidence of the multiverse, but if you wanted to look at what potentially could be evidence, if it is something that we contributed to the multiverse, then I would look at what's called dark flow. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I tell you what, I had some chili the other night, and I had some massive dark flow after that.
Yeah, that's what you drank. You drank that chili.
Okay.
Jelly juice will. Did you watch the stuff on jelly juice, John?
I did.
You did? So jelly juice, if you guys hadn't known, she advocates drinking cabbage juice and salt water, this mixture. And,
that sounds pleasant.
It gives you what's called waterfalls.
Yeah.
You can kind of figure out what that means.
Yeah, pray tell.
Yeah, and she thinks that it cures cancer.
Does it?
Yeah, it cures Down syndrome. It can
cabbage, salt, and water, huh?
Yeah, it can regrow limbs.
Well, this actually fits into the fact that the pharmaceutical companies have the cure for cancer, but they're not releasing it because they want to make money off of people with cancer. So that falls in line with
I
that.
think the cure for cancer is tap water. Just drink a lot of tap water.
Yeah. That would make sense. Depending on where you live, there can be, Lord knows what's in the water. So
yeah, it's worth a shot.
Her one of her main arguments is that her juice can give people back the ages that they had in biblical times.
Yeah, that you can live hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years and shit.
Yeah, well, that's probably because they drank a shit ton of cabbage juice and salt water from the Dead Sea. So that's where it comes from.
If you're going from the biblical creationist view, I'm pretty sure that cabbage didn't exist yet.
Well, you just want to live in sin.
I know.
Well, one of the reasons she didn't go on the show, she's like, "Not today, Satan." I'm like, Satan didn't have to do shit to do this.
Who's Satan?
Whatever her version of Satan is.
That was
Kyle
the funniest thing I've ever seen.
No, she's actually talking about metaphysical being, Satan.
She went into the chat and saw people that were saying that her stuff was just a hoax, and she's like, "Not today, Satan."
Mm-hmm.
Bitch slap Satan with my cabbage juice.
Now it worked out okay because we got, Jeff Holiday to come in and talk about it, and he had actually talked to her about Jelly Juice on Dr. Phil. They flew him up there to talk to her directly.
Oh yeah, it's that chick. Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, that chick. Yeah.
Oh my God! Did you see the thing today that scientist Mel posted?
That was funny. Yeah, she did a good job on that. Very succinct to the point, under a minute. Good.
But Jilly and the Jelly Juice lady posted that anyone can be a scientist, and she Googled what is a scientist, and it came up with a little kid's video.
Yeah, she's an idiot. She cited things like Wikipedia, and I mean, she doesn't know what a citation
The dictionary.
is.
She cited the dictionary.
She said anybody that was a scientist would know how to understand my protocol. We're like, wait a minute. You think drinking this water, shitting it out, curing cancer is a protocol? I don't know what experiments you've done, lady, but I've at least done some experiments in college. That's not how protocol works.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, not gonna happen. So what's wrong? What the hell's going on with these people? I don't understand anymore, John. I don't get it.
Maybe she just has this really weird piss fetish, and she's trying to come up with some sort of a narrative reason for why she needs to drink your pee.
No, that'd be Rain Florence. There's another person, Rain Florence, who advocates things like that. She gave herself a urine enema on camera on YouTube.
Yeah.
Society's going to hell. Seriously, we're all fucked. We might as well have the big rip now. Just get it over with.
Yeah. All I know is I like physics, and I like physics questions. We got anything from the
Poor
audience?
John. He's just like you're just not used to this level of fuckery, are you?
Well, I've dabbled a few times in my life in the of devolved conversation.
We've got to get you a flat earther. You know you want one, dude. Come on.
Okay, so John, would it be possible to put all the flat earthers and the New Age and the Jelly Juice people on a spaceship and shoot them at a black hole?
It'd be a fun experiment, wouldn't it? That's
Can you power a
That's not
spaceship on
maniacal as
jelly
fuck,
juice?
is it? Listen to John. Yeah, it's maniacal. He's like, yeah, let's do it.
That's like the happiest thing I've
Yeah,
thought
that
of
would be
in
good
Like-
for humanity, I think.
I thought like the best test for a flat earther, and one guy tried it with his spaceship, but shoot them into space and then show them the Earth. Guaranteed the flat earther is going to open the door or try to get out of the spaceship to prove space doesn't exist.
Oops.
And then they die as they're viewing the Earth.
And you get it on camera. You got to make sure you get it for like your live feed.
Oh,
So you're like,
God.
you know, see, you
It
told
would
your
go
soul.
viral. It would even go back.
Hey, look, you have to if believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. Even if that something is
Yeah, believe in something, even though it's
Yeah.
believe in space.
That idea is really dumb.
It's like there's so many easy ways to just like completely destroy their position, but the problem is that they just ignore it, or they're either too dumb or they're just too stubborn to have an actual conversation about valid, objective, rational, and demonstrably factual lines of reasoning.
Yep.
So that's where we get the dumpster fire. It's an implosion. It's an explosion. It's ridiculousness.
I don't think it's about the information itself. I think it's about the mindset of what they'll accept and their ability to believe things based off of being able to.
I think we're going to play a game. I think it's game time because it's.
Oh, cool! Here we go.
So,
Well, I actually have another really good question for John. If the multiverse is true, is there a universe where the Earth is flat?
No.
No, it wouldn't be the multiverse. Okay, I'm gonna fill this one if you don't.
You just hate flat earthers so much you can't even. You won't even accept that they can have their own universe.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna fill this one for a second.
Give them
there's
something.
There's a difference between multiverse and flat and possible worlds. Okay, you're talking about possible worlds.
Okay, yes, possible.
Yeah,
You're talking
you
about
just
modality, right? So, and if you're talking about a modal sense, ontologically, yes, it's possible worlds that have flat Earth. That's not the same thing as the multi-world theory.
Yeah.
Multi-universe. So.
Okay, so then we fill a room with helium and we tell the flat earthers, walk into this room and breathe deep and you'll be transported to the possible world.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
There you go.
Okay, so I don't think the outside can see this because I'm not showing on my OBS here. Why is this not showing? Oh, I see. Because I got to lower this. There we go. Now the outside can see it. So we're going to play a little game. It's basic physics stuff. Okay. John's
Sweet. And they said this stuff would never. I would never use this stuff in my life, but here I am on the internet on some quiz. They were so wrong. I am going to use
of your entire educational foundation right now, Rags. This is it. This is the pinnacle. This is the moment you've been waiting
for. Yeah, me and Steve are the judges, and then
shine
he's answering these questions.
Or to fall on your face. Yeah,
I guess
we'll be the judges. He'll be the final judge because he's smarter than me.
All right, I don't know shit about science, so we'll see how I do.
Right, so who wants to play? We're gonna have 2 people playing. Or all 3 of you want to play.
I'll play. We can all 3 play.
You all 3 play. All right. Well, okay.
Why not?
So, how do you want to do this? You want to call out your name and say the answer? I mean, I'll read the question, and as soon as I get done with the question, you call out your name and answer. Okay? But if you get it wrong, we laugh at you because these are easy shit.
Oh,
easy for you.
Man.
Okay. So here we go. Ready? If an object is in motion, what kind of energy does it possess? Caloric, potential, metabolic, or kinetic? Go.
Oh,
Godless Iowan.
Godless Iowan. Go.
Oh,
what?
Kinetic.
He's stealing my answer. Bullshit.
Did you know?
My answer.
Well,
he
hang
didn't
on.
know that until I said it.
Rags is kind of slow. So
I demand a recount. You'll never work in this town again.
We got to give him a handicap
His
here.
name. He didn't
He's
say
a
his
dog.
name.
Listen. So, did you know this answer?
Yes.
No, I know you did because you got it right.
Oh.
Did Rags know it?
Here, let's just do this instead. How about we raise our hands?
I can't see. You don't. By the way, you don't have any applause and you don't have a camera on.
Good. I don't need you. I don't
Just
need
yell
you
it out.
in
I
my
know your
life.
guys' voice. You have your distinct voice. So, but did you know this one? I'll give it to all you guys if you knew this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, how do I do
Next one.
3.
You get it wrong, he gets to say "ree." What is the force that holds back a sliding object? Momentum, deceleration, gravity, or friction?
Brant.
Friction.
Friction.
All right, you all
Definitely.
All right. So
Even I knew that.
Actually, let's you know what? We're gonna make this a little more challenging. You know what? Because this is like rum and coke night, and we have a physicist here with us. Kinetic energy. Who can tell me what the formula is for kinetic energy?
Oh, there you go.
5.
That's not a real question.
No,
You
the
just made that
answer we
shit
were looking
up.
for was beryllium.
Oh man!
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, that's gonna be really funny if that ends up being the correct answer.
So
at
the
one of
correct
these.
answer we were looking for. You know what? Because we know the answer because we took physics. What did we? Come on, outside chat. What is the formula for kinetic energy?
You can express it in 2 different ways too.
Anybody in the live chat?
What? Say that question one more time.
Kinetic energy is equal to what? And there's a lot of different formulas for this, but what is the most basic one? Yes, Bod got it right. 0.5 mv squared, or 1/2 mv squared. That's the most common one. So, very good.
I would also accept p squared over 2m as well.
That would have been fine. Yeah, very good. But by the way, Abad can't answer because Abad's smart. We don't let him play these things. This is only for the uneducated in physics. Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, in physics, we're not uneducated in everything.
What that includes. There's overlap.
What is there is a subset there to be had, isn't there? What is the applied force needed to move an object? Momentum, work, acceleration, or gravity?
Grant.
Momentum.
No, not momentum.
Work.
Work is the amount of energy. Work is the total amount of force needed for something to be applied to a system in order to do something.
You guys remember FDR? He's work. Get it, Steve? Come on. Work equals the path integral of f dot dr.
Yeah.
So we say FD.
Well, actually, the way I remember it, now we're going to go down a tangent. Because we had to deal with Carnot efficiencies, and we're talking about a force stroke system. They work on the bottom of a curve for the abiodatic system. That integral of the work, the integral of the curve of the area underneath that function for a system for a heat stroke engine for the Carnot efficiency is equal to the integral of the function of that curve. That's basically, there's a relationship there. I totally fucked that up, but I'm visioning it in my head, so I know what I'm talking about. But I'm having a hard time explaining it. If you have a 4-stroke system for Carnot efficiency, the bottom stroke, the area underneath that function is the integral of that function, and that is equivalent to the amount of work done in the system. There you go. Wow. That took a lot of fucking energy to get out. What property causes a moving energy to continue moving? Velocity, inertia, impetus, or speed? I love that. Impetus. Fucking impetus. Anyone? Come on.
Brant. Yep.
Just say it, Rags.
What property causes moving out to continue moving? That is give me a second here.
Take your time, buddy. Your dog.
What property causes
Time
a
dilation
moving object
effect.
to continue moving? I guess it would be. I'm torn. I'm torn between velocity and
lying
speed.
on the floor naked?
No, I'm on the chair naked.
Like that song?
I do my best. I do my best thinking when I'm on my naked chair.
Okay.
I don't know if it's velocity or speed. Wait, no, I don't hit me. What property causes moving object to continue moving?
Can you use like process of elimination here?
Well, I think it's between velocity and speed. Am I right there?
No.
Just tell me. No fucking shit.
Those are the first 2 we would throw away in a 50.
Yeah, that would be those were 2 I would actually do process of elimination of.
God damn it!
Because I'd be like, okay, I know what impetus is, but if you didn't know what impetus was, you'd probably narrow it down to impetus. Or
Well,
inertia.
maybe I know the Latin root of impetus. I think impetus is just Latin in and of itself, so it's not really a root.
Many of our words are.
I'm gonna go with impetus.
Okay, you know what? This is a hard one, and the reason why I think this is kind of hard.
Yeah, it is a hard one.
Well, this is. I'm going to default to the expert here, and let me explain my reasoning on this one, and then I'm going to talk to the physicist. Okay, velocity definitely not, right? Because velocity is a vector quantity of a scalar with a magnitude.
Well,
so it's not that one, clearly, right? So, and it can't be speed because speed is actually the amount of velocity is going without a direction. It's a scalar. Okay.
It's
So
just
now we're
the
left with two
magnitude.
things: inertia and impetus. Now, inertia is the property of an object to resist change in vector. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now it says what property causes an object to continue movement, but the impetus is of an object, the force of which a body is moving. So when a body is actually moving, the amount of energy required to make that body move in I guess called in situ is called impetus. So in this particular case, I would actually say it's impetus, while the inertia is the property to cause it to move without a change of outside external force.
But it says continue moving, so it's already moving. So wouldn't that be momentum?
No.
It's
Fuck. I'm going to go with impetus on this one.
So, Steve, I'm kind of surprised because it may just be like one of those really old, outdated words that like you don't see anymore these days. Because I've never even seen that in any physics textbook in any level. So,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can remember forgetting. I can remember
term.
forgetting velocity, inertia, and speed, but I can't even remember being able to forget impetus.
Yeah, impetus is an old term, but it basically means the energy of a moving body, an object.
Okay.
So when you have like something like this goes back to the days where people thought about perpetual motion, right? And we all know now that perpetual motion is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. It's called overunity. Overunity doesn't exist. And so they were talking about what's called impetus, of the ability of an energy or force to continue an object in motion without a change of vector. In other words, the inertia of the object being such that it's not going to move unless that's acted upon by an outside exerted force. But unfortunately, I don't have the answers to these. They don't give them, do they?
Well, if you click it, it'll turn red or green. Try clicking one. No, not the question, the answer. Yes, inertia.
See, but I'm going to have to throw the bullshit flag on this one.
Me too.
I'm not, because I got it right.
Okay, you know what? We're going to go to Google. Fuck you all. Fuck you all. Impetus. How do you spell it?
Let's go to the impartiality of Google.
Yeah, you know, Google. Fuck you all. Fuck you and your PhD shit. I'm gonna get my bonus point on this one because
So Google Dictionary says it's the force that makes something happen or the force of energy which a body moves.
There we go. The force of energy with the body moves. There you go.
See, I think the body was already moving.
I think it's a bullshit question, and I want.
No, that makes it sound like it's kinetic energy. The energy and force are not.
But is this talking about a property? The impetus is related to impulse, or the driving force of something, and so what makes something move? It's the impulse of the object.
Okay. Impulse is a change in momentum over change in
See,
time.
the inertia is the property to cause it. This is how I would word this. The inertia is the property causing a moving object to continue moving without any kind of external force applied to it.
Okay.
I think it's bullshit. Fuck you all. Okay, moving on. This is what happens when we drink and we overanalyze questions. Because I would have gone with either one. I'm serious. I think both of them are viable here. Okay. So.
It's essentially semantics. At the end of the day, if you want some philosophy, it's like what do words mean? We assign meaning, and and then some words aren't used anymore. Like I hadn't seen impetus. Like it's kind of semantic. So I guess.
But was I not like way off with the impetus? I mean, I told you what I meant.
Yeah, you told me your email. I'm not sure I followed 100%, but you did a fine job, Steve. Let's proceed forward.
1 calorie is equal to the energy needed to increase 1 gram of water by 1 degree.
Kelvin.
Oh, you suck. No, God.
Really? That's a made-up question.
Really?
Celsius.
Yeah.
Who the fuck using Kelvin? Do you know what Kelvin scale is?
I do.
Do you really?
I know.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Can I say something here? A Kelvin and the Celsius have the same.
I know. It's just 260. Yeah.
So when you're talking about delta T's, they're the same thing. because a delta T would produce the same, but the actual official units, like how a calorie.
But Kelvin's a different scale.
It's Celsius. Right, fine.
It's conjoined with Celsius, right? Because it's
right.
273.5,
Calorie is defined with Celsius.
Celsius,
so, yeah,
exactly.
That's the most correct answer.
Yes.
I'm doing way better than I thought.
Be green. Can you click that, Steve?
Yes, it should be Celsius.
Yeah, there it is.
Yes. Okay. So you guys understand that one? So basically, nope. 1 degree Celsius is defined literally as the amount of energy required to raise 1 gram of water by, what is it?
1 degree Celsius.
1 degree Celsius. So the amount of energy required to oh my God, now I fucked it up. 1 degree Celsius is how much the temperature will be raised if you add energy in the system for 1 gram of water for 1
calorie.
1 calorie, yeah. I wanted to say fucking erg, and I don't know why.
Well, it's a different calorie from the food calorie, which is 4,184 kilojoules.
Yeah, those are kilocalories.
Per kilogram. Yeah.
Yeah, one. When you see calorie, like you eat something like 100 calories, you're actually eating 100,000 calories because 1 calorie is 100,000 calories. Yeah.
Whoa! No wonder I'm so fucking fat.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. It's hard to get the weight off.
That is true, though.
That's where
they're kilocalories they're talking about. When they say these are 120 calories, they're talking about kilocalories.
Mm.
But basically, Kelvin is based on the Celsius scale from absolute zero, so it's 273.15. So you just add 273.15, yeah. Okay, so next question. At what temperature Fahrenheit does water boil? Now, again, shitty question. I'm going to give a bonus point. Answer this correctly, and then give me a reason why this is a shitty question.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, so I'm going to say, crap.
You're going to say, crap? Yes, crap is the right answer.
Is it 198?
No, Jesus
Christ. No, it's 212.
Okay. Now, why is it a crappy answer? A crappy question?
Because
atmospheric pressure.
Yes.
Thank you, genius. Somebody, thank you. Can I hold you?
They should have specified it's at sea level.
Yeah, at standard temperature pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Elevation matters, Smitty says. Yes.
See, I might not know the answers, but I can tell you why the questions suck.
Yeah, this is a question.
They're all correct.
This is a bullshit question. Do you agree, Doc?
Yeah, if you don't specify the pressure, then you could conceive of circumstances where water would boil at any of these temperatures.
Exactly.
They also don't specify.
I was right too.
Negative properties.
Yeah.
Well, they also don't specify the amount of cabbage in the water.
You'd be right if you're like 10,000 feet. 198 degrees would be closer, probably. Sure.
And then, also they didn't specify things like colligative properties, like dissolving salts and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Or contaminants, like even trace amounts.
Because salt will lower the boiling temperature.
So increase the boiling temperature.
Increase the boiling temperature. So it boils. Yeah, you're right. Increase it.
And it freezes at a lower temperature.
Right. Yeah. That's why they use salt to actually get rid of frozen shit in the Northwest. Because it raises it causes it to melt easier. Oh my God! Triple point and latent heat of vaporization is coming back to me now.
All right. Question 7. Let's see what we got here.
The amount of matter in an object is called its.
The theory of down.
Mass. Yes.
Mass.
Work, weight, force, or mass. Come on.
It's mass.
That's mass. Even I know that.
Yes. So let me ask a bonus question because Abad Eulogy actually figured this out once. What would be the gigapascal to make water stay liquid at 2,000 degrees Celsius? Because one of the younger creationist models out there says that the water was. One of the creationists out there that we know had suggested that the water was 2,000 degrees in primordial conditions and atmospheric pressure. So he actually did the math. Anyone want to take a guess what it takes to keep water in liquid form at 2,000 degrees? 27 gigapascals. You can crush diamonds with that shit. Okay. So.
And what we experience is only 101.5 kilopascal, 101,000 pascals.
So a fraction.
So it's a million times. So wait, 9 minus 5 is 10,000 times more than
ridiculously different. So
did you hear what I said, Steve? I was like 9 minus.
You're talking about you do significant figures in your head.
Yeah.
There should be a scientific notation.
Yeah.
Yeah. 8. Force is measured by what unit of measurement?
Force is measured by what?
Newtons.
Newtons.
Very good. So what would be joules?
Electricity?
No.
Energy.
Is it heat?
Yeah. And what would be another unit of energy?
Calorie.
Beryllium.
Well, that's heat energy though. That's different. Beryllium. Yes. Yes. No, I was looking for ergs. I think it's like 10 to the 7th ergs to 1 joule. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Really? I pulled that out my ass.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you're correct.
That's why I don't use ergs. Who developed the original idea of atoms? Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein, Sir Isaac Newton, or Niels Bohr?
What's with all these white males?
Niels Bohr.
Yeah, well, this is from feminist standpoint theory.
Okay, that makes sense.
British
now.
colonization is because
Steve,
of
I would say none of these, but there is
Niels Bohr.
or there is a correctest one, but I would say
I would say
Sona.
Anaximander, but most of you guys wonder who that is, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Wasn't he
Anaximander.
I think he was a boss in a Final Fantasy game I played.
Epicurus, not Epicurus. No, Fig Newtons. No. Yeah, I don't think this is a great question either, but this is why we're playing shitty physics questions. What do you guys say?
Well, I went with Niels Bohr.
Niles.
The idea of atoms.
Or Niels Bohr.
Niels.
Yeah, the problem with Bohr's model. Okay, first of all, that was not one of the first models. The first one was called one of the main ones was called the plum drop model.
Pudding. Yeah.
Plum pudding model, right? And the plum pudding model or the drop model was really strange, and it didn't account for anything that we observed with the orbitals. Now Bohr's model came along, and it actually did show why we see certain things like Balmer lines, the Balmer series in a spectrograph and things like that. But when they realized that even the Bohr model doesn't work, and then we went into more quantum type models. But Bohr's model is interesting when you start dealing with, and Landon and I talked about this the other day, relativistic effects, and why certain things like the periodic chart only goes up to element 137 theoretically, because at that point the orbitals would be having to the electrons in the orbitals would have to be traveling faster than c, according to the Bohr model. Very fascinating thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rutherford actually did a model too. Yeah.
Yeah, with the gold foil experiment
Yeah.
and all that.
Very good, Macabre. Okay, in the live chat, 10. Which particles are found in the nucleus of an atom? And you get this wrong, you get kicked out. Except for rags, because we love rags.
Yay, because I think I actually know which one it is.
All right. What do you want to go with? Come on.
I want to go.
Protons.
Protons.
The dog knew more about this than you, Goddess. I would.
Yeah, you
I
guys are
said
dummy
protons.
heads.
I said protons at the same time as he.
And to be honest with you, 2 of these answers are the same thing. Which ones?
Electrons and photons.
No, you suck. God damn it.
I was just testing you. That's right, Steve. That's right. I was testing you to see if you could tell if my answer was wrong, and you passed.
Thank you. I
job,
was
Steve.
worried about that, because if I didn't know the difference between a positron and electron, because they're the same thing, only with a different charge.
Yes.
Then they're not the same thing.
Well, they kind of are. They really. I mean, this is the weird thing about SU theory. One of these days, I think John could help us out with gauge theory, but these particles, literally, I think of them as the same thing. I mean, in fact, you have certain particles. I think they call it, what do they call it? Majora. Where you have
Majorana particles.
Majorana. Is that how you pronounce his name? I hate these fucking science names.
Where the antiparticles itself.
Yeah, who came up with their last names? They need to change them. I know pretty well with the
a
last
lot of
names.
like Indian or some sort of.
This is why I stick with concepts. I know the concepts. I don't know names. I know of the name, but I can't pronounce them. Because everybody pronounces things differently. I always call it Majora. But okay, how do you say it? Majorana.
Majorana.
So Majorana particle is a particle that is the same antiparticle. It's its own antiparticle. And I think electrons and particles, they're not a Majorana particle like a neutron, but they're all for our practical purposes exactly the same, different charge. All right, number 11. Do you guys see a question?
No.
Well, hold up. Let's see how good the answers are.
gotta
Weight
guess the
multiplied by
question.
surface. Volume multiplied by weight. Surface divided by
You know what? Let's play this through this. Guess the question. I'm going to say, what is force. No, because that would be volume. That would be area squared. Not. So wait.
So it would probably say what is density?
What is density? Yeah, what is density? I'm gonna go with density, not force, because density would be
What is
mass over
density?
space. Or area.
Density is mass divided by volume.
Yes.
Yay!
Right. Yeah, that way we guessed the question.
That was so good. That's why he has a PhD. He guessed the question even.
Yeah.
Just think, John, your entire educational thing came down to just this moment in time.
Well, they say on a serious note, they say that when you get to the doctoral level, the like end game is asking questions that haven't been asked yet, and then going and answering them.
I love that, and I do like asking questions that
because at the college level and before, it's like here's like, okay, you drop a rock, just learning the ropes. You got to build that foundation. So that's all good and well, but then when you do independent research, you got to come up with new ideas.
I totally agree with that. So I always said this: a bachelor's degree shows you have an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
A master's degree shows you have a proficiency. A doctorate shows you can actually add to the body of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I look at it. Okay, so number 12, and this is why I have none of the above, because I don't know what the fuck I do. 12. What is at the center of this heliocentric solar system?
The sun.
Helio. Well, obviously it's Helio.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sun.
Now we're going to have a bonus question. The Earth, technically, does not revolve around the sun. What does it revolve around? Go.
We evolve
Me.
around each other.
Me.
We do. Love.
Love is in there.
We're looking for love.
Or Jesus.
Oh, love.
Or Jesus. I would accept it.
Love or
Jesus
Jesus.
for the Christians out there. Go for it. No, that's I give you a hint. It starts with a B, but it's not beryllium.
It starts with the B.
But not beryllium.
Steve, you gave it away. I know it's not beryllium.
Oh,
but
I
you
did
still-
give shit away. They're not going to still figure it out, dude.
Oh, well, give them some credit. Come on, guys.
Banana.
No, you don't know what I deal with. Come on.
It revolves around the banana.
Not your butthole. No.
Oh, not my butthole either. It revolves around.
I'll give you one clue. It's located just above the surface of the sun,
Yes.
instead of the geometric center of the
Yes.
sun.
Thanks
a lot, Jupiter, you asshole.
Yes, it's out. It's actually it's actually located off of the sun. Barycenter. Thank you, Raleigh. Oh my God, one person. And Freno got it. Steve Curtis got it. How did Steve Curtis got it?
Yeah, I even talked about that on the Exoplanet show. Come on, guys.
He did. If you didn't watch that show, you wouldn't have gotten this one. Unless you're me. What does the C? Oh my God.
Capital C. Come on, they didn't even use the same
what the
key.
fuck? Whoever wrote this needs to be shot. Okay. It's not fucking
What does
capital
the C stand for in the equation?
E equals
Speed of light?
Yeah.
Well, technically no, because it's not. You're not supposed to capitalize that.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be more.
Well, I think the speed of light is important enough to where it earned a capital.
Yeah.
Well,
And who are you to deny its identity or
because
some shit like that?
Pluto can't be a planet.
It,
C can't be capitalized.
it reminds me of the abbreviation for Coulomb.
That's what I was thinking. Coulombberry. Right. I was thinking for
Yeah.
coulombs. Yeah. I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking. Wouldn't it C what they use for Coulomb or capacitance? Even though it's farad, but I mean.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
still.
Hey, by the way, a quick little side bit here. Me and my friend one time, he's a friend of mine who was in grad school alongside me, and we went on a cross-country road trip there and back again. And one of the games we played was going through the Greek alphabet in order and listing as many physics quantities that use that letter.
Alpha, beta,
Oh, what a
gamma,
fucking
delta,
nerd. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau,
He's
upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. Now I'm done.
How about this
Look,
one?
anything
How about this
that's
one?
worth
Wait.
listening to in English, right?
Attofemto micromillicenta decahectila. Oh shit. Attofemto nano micro
nano micro milli
millicenta
And we're back to
decahecakila
speaking
mega
in
giga hexaterapenta.
exoterapenta.
Yes.
Da.
We all had to memorize these shit at one time, and then we forget it.
I remembered the Santa Maria.
But C, I would
And
say
you
C
need
would
to
be
think on the
Coulomb
Santa Maria. It's
or
very true.
capacitance, even though capacitance.
Yeah,
is measured in
capacitance.
farads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, whoever wrote this, I hate you, Play Buzz. You all need to die.
But I'm still mad about the impetus thing. Let's go to number 4.
I'm telling you, there's something to be said about that. Okay, so what is the force that keeps us on the ground?
Okay,
Gravity.
it's the theory of down and
The theory of down.
Down,
is what we're looking
yep.
for. Gravity does not
syndrome.
exist. This is wrong.
yeah.
And bonus question. We all know that the formula for force is mass times acceleration, right, Rags?
Oh yeah, we know that.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you take out that acceleration for gravity, A, and you put in G, so you have mass times G, what do you get then? What formula? Starts with a W, and you step on a scale, you measure it.
Wait.
There you go.
So wait.
No, yeah, wait. Let me think of the answer.
Wait. It's wait.
Ah, there. He said, wait.
We said, you got it right the first time, Rags.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wanted to drive the point home, really.
Okay, number 15. There's too many questions here. Who developed? Oh my God, I hate this. I'm gonna shoot the person that wrote these questions.
There should be two names simultaneously.
Who developed calculus as a result in his work in physics?
Why did they assume his gender?
Newton.
Okay, and they left out somebody who I actually think created calculus over all these guys.
Albeit independently, so they both get some credit, and they had different notations, and Newton's was just developed in order to do something more grand.
I will debate you this to the end of the time. Leibniz notation is way better than Newton.
Well, no, yeah, it's fine. I don't really care either way. But think about how awesome Newton is. He's like, I got to explain something that we've been trying to figure out for centuries. Let me go invent calculus to do it, and then let me go invent like this new telescope, the laws of motion. Like he's a legit guy.
But why is Leibniz not even mentioned in here? When Leibniz
I have a problem with that.
I have a problem with that.
Scout's honor, physics honor.
All right, number 16. Energy is measured in what unit of measurement? We already told you this. So
joules.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is a measurement? What is Watt's measurement of?
Electricity.
Kind of.
Blackness and Compton. That's what we're looking for. Blackness and Compton.
Blackness and Compton. There's a lot of that.
Oh my God.
I can say that because I'm from that area. Damn it.
God damn it, Steve.
I can say that because I heard the song.
Yes, watts is a measure of power.
So energy over time. Energy over time.
Oh, I thought you wanted to know like the equation to figure out watts. Well, I was trying to figure that one out.
Well, actually, there's quite a few of them. Actually, believe it or not.
Actually, what's funny is this is what I tell
IR is the most common.
Oftentimes, the units tell you what the equation is, as long as there's not like a whole bunch of.
But the simplest one for power is just basically resistance times current. If you want to go to an electrical type thing.
P equals IV.
P equals IE. Yeah, pi.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you can also use that. You can actually change that around, so you have P equals IE over P equals IE.
So I don't like.
Divided by P.
I don't like how engineers use E for voltage. We use V because it's like V for voltage, and it's a capital V.
Don't like how physicists and engineers use J for imaginary numbers instead of I.
Here, you guys talk about your made up bullshit, and I need to grab a drink.
Engineers use J.
Well, that's abhorrent.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Fuck them. Fuck you, engineers.
J is for jelly juice.
Yes.
Use a real
number.
Well, you know what F is for, right?
Farad.
No, F is for friends who do stuff together.
That's all.
U is for ukulele.
What's worse is when you start to get into like K. Like you have I, you have J, you have K.
That's X, Y, and Z unit vectors using Roman letters. So I is for imaginary number.
No, there's no J in the Latin alphabet.
Ooh.
Because Jehovah begins with an I.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yahshua. Quick. All right, number 17. An object remains at rest. Maintains what kind of
energy? Potential energy.
Right, you guys all knew that one. That's it? Okay. Okay, I got to come up with harder questions. Those were too easy.
Well, I'd say an object contains potential energy if we're talking about.
Is for friends who do stuff together. U is for you and me.
A is for anywhere, anytime at all down here in the deep blue sea.
Now I lost my thing here in the display. Where is it? I got to throw this over here. There we go. Now they can see you.
Each atom contains potential energy.
Steve, can I just say that You have the nerdiest and the most OCD desktop that I have ever seen.
Is that cool as fuck?
It's cool, yes.
Thank you.
It's very cool.
So you want to go to like before we like log off? You want a little more difficult question? People are messaging me on Facebook. I didn't even notice they're answering these questions on Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook.
Yeah. People are playing along at home. This is the home edition. All right, so what do you want? We'll do a real quick one, but you want like easy, medium, hard, or Jesus Christ? What the fuck did I get myself into?
Medium.
By the way, Abad, you want to come in here? Get your ass in here. I haven't checked my messages. I'm sorry, Abad. Medium. What? Astrophysics. Is there such a thing? What the fuck is a medium astrophysics question?
Just go Jesus Christ hard, because anything above super easy like those questions, I ain't got it. I don't have
Only
it.
astronauts can pass this level of difficulty quiz. Let's check this one out.
Oh,
good.
So, guys, what we should do is
God.
have a derivation section. Like, let's solve this differential equation.
I did that the other day. I showed people how to do a basic differential equation.
How about just some basic integrals then? Like integrate x dx.
Let's just work on the theory of everything.
When Abad gets in here, we can do that.
I got this.
When Abad gets in here, we can do that. No, we don't have time tonight, but next time. Okay, so let me move this over here. Let me get rid of that. So we're gonna go.
Hey Steve, by the way, did you ever see that one YouTube channel with this kid called Hith, like Hiiith? He's got like
I know who it is. Yeah.
Flowy hair, stick figure dude.
Yes,
is one of his. So I was watching this one where he was talking about the southern pole. And that's like, hello, people. You know, how do you explain that on a flat Earth? And he comes up with this video clip from a Jeranism video, and he just had like this, like a lens, like a dome-shaped piece of glass, right? He's like, look, if you move it over here, and he had like a time-lapse picture of star trails around just the North Pole, like, and he was putting it up to the screen and saying, oh, look at that, the ones by the horizon just create this other pole.
I think Armored Skeptic showed footage of that video.
Yeah, I have. I know of Hyeth, and I know that Pelagia and Shannon was on his channel recently.
So, but I had this really long comment I posted to that video. You could read it. It's very colorful. Talking about just pretty much calling them out. After all, my new internet name is
I'll check it out.
blank.
I'll check it out.
I can just call you out and just shamelessly point out your position.
All right.
What's your position on butter being a milkshake?
Butter being a what? Steve, what did he say?
Can you make? Do you like butter milkshakes?
What? No. What was your position?
Don't confuse the smartest guy in the room.
No, you're overthinking it. What's your position on butter being a milkshake?
I would say I would stay away from that. I would stay away from it.
I lost my Zoom. I can't find my Zoom to let people in. I heard a ding dong and I can't find it. I've lost it. I've lost my Zoom. Where the hell's my Zoom?
No, butter is a milkshake. All right. Also, the average human has less than 2 arms. That's fucked up.
Oh damn.
Shit, man.
I don't know.
You never thought about it. I'm one of the lucky.
Well, hold on. Is it like 1.999 or 1.2? That's the question.
What are you talking about?
Listen, what were you guys talking about?
I don't know.
Before I came in here and started blowing craniums.
Oh, it says Obade. Eubade.
Yeah, Bod, eulogy.
He's
a math dude.
Oh, math. All right. Yeah. Let's do some integrals.
Yeah, he knows how to do integrals.
Well, actually, it is past midnight here, so I'm going to have to head to bed. So
that's why I bitch out, because you don't know this. Only astronauts can pass this difficult astro quiz. But by the way, I looked at these. I looked at the first 3. Not that hard. Not that hard.
The answer's beryllium.
Beryllium's the first 3 answers.
Won, and I think I did much better than I thought I would. So thank you for having me on, Steve.
You're awesome, man. We love you.
Yeah.
Go subscribe to the God's Island.
Yes, subscribe to me. Give me Patreon money. I need it for stuff and things.
Accountants make life less
taxing.
Taxing.
Yes.
Texting?
I don't understand. What do you mean?
You'll understand if you think about it.
I don't know.
Do you teach math nowadays, Abad, or are you still a student? I don't remember.
Me?
Yeah, you still.
Sorry, my
No,
test.
the other Bod.
Yeah, the other Abad. Because we have so many in the room.
Mic test.
Yeah.
Mic test. Anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you asking the same question we asked.
Yeah.
4
We
times
asked
now.
we asked how you felt about having an unnecessary vowel in your name.
Which one? Oh, okay,
The
fair
E.
enough.
Are you teaching people math now?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever taught people maths.
What do you? Don't you? Do
Where did you
TA?
hear that? Where did you hear that from?
Well, do you do TA stuff?
Back when I was in university, maybe, but
You're not going back to
that
school.
was ages ago. Ages.
Well, I mean,
ago.
I know you like. I know you like do math and sciencey shit to put the Conquer Posse in their place.
Yeah, but I kind of actually faded off from that recently.
Because
Just
they're
been
idiots.
busy now. Well, they're idiots. Yeah, they've left the community and also just been a lot more busy lately.
Well, see, we're gonna challenge your mind here.
Oh,
Quiz
God.
before we call it a night here. Only astronauts can pass this difficult astrophysics quiz. You ready?
I thought we were all joining in.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
this is for free.
we are.
Can you be as smart as an astronaut? It's just 9 questions, but nobody seems to be able to nail it. Can you get them all correct? Here we go. Number 1: how far away is the sun?
About from the Earth, you mean, or from somewhere else?
I'm going to assume because it has a picture of the sun that it's talking from the Earth.
About 150 million kilometers away.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody want to say otherwise? Or we're going to go with that one?
I'm gonna go with 151 million kilometers
We're
away.
gonna call it. I think you're close enough. We're going to call that one correct. Yeah, it's definitely not 8.3 years because the nearest sun, the nearest star other than our sun is 4.2 light years away, and 93 billion kilometers.
8.3
I was going to say 180 or something like that.
8.3 light years away is about the same, about the distance of what, Sirius?
Sirius, I don't remember how far Sirius is.
Oh, I should know that. I used to know.
I don't know.
I know Cirrus.
I know Betelgeuse is like 640 something light years away. All right, next
Yeah.
question. Oh, by the way, I gotta check the live chat. I'm sorry.
Oh, it is 8.6 light years to Sirius. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was, I remember it was 8 point something, but I couldn't remember exactly the second
8.61.
digit.
See, these are trick questions trying to play on something that you definitely knew. Yes, I'll accept the fucking cookies. Good God. Okay, where do stars get their energy from?
Nuclear fusion.
Wait, this is the astronaut quiz?
Yeah, I think that,
Really?
I think that if you're going to be an astronaut, you probably should be able to get these right. I guess.
Can you put the link to the site here?
Yeah,
Because
before
the-
you even apply, though.
Yeah.
Can I put them where? Where do you want it about?
the link of the
quiz?
quiz to the site.
Oh, for you, sure. Why not?
I love you too, Steve.
I thought you were just doing these off the top of your head because you're so smart.
No. Oh, you can't see them?
No, because
No.
the outside, the video, the rum and coke night video.
Oh, I thought-
it must,
oh, I'm- oh,
it
I
must
thought
be
you
meant-
nice
I'm
to have
in
your
the-
profile picture show up when you're not broadcasting. That
I'm
must be really nice.
Sorry, I thought I was sharing this. How about that? Is that better?
No, you are sharing it, but it's. Oh wait, now you are. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Now you
Hey,
are.
wow.
I'm so
Yay.
sorry, my friends.
Hooray.
Yes, you can flog me later in a way that I like.
Daddy.
Oh, we should
Temp-
mathematically
tempting.
flog
So
him.
tempting.
I'll give him something.
You want to do what, John?
I'll mathematically flog you at your request.
Oh,
but it'll
that's
be,
hot,
at a
dude.
later date.
I don't know why we're bothering with these stupid astronaut questions when you can launch your dream site for only $2.95 a month.
Wow.
Do you have a sponsor now, Rax, or something?
No?
No. Okay. Number 3. What is light from stars made up of?
Angels
I don't know
spirit.
who wrote this shit.
What the fuck? Who the fuck?
This is
What
like,
is
this is episode I have a
Um,
PhD in physics to go, what? And especially astrophysics going, what the fuck? is this
red,
question?
blue, and green light, white light, or prismatic light?
So an astronomer would say one thing. A
It's kind of
quantum
bizarre, isn't
mechanist would say something else, and
Yeah.
New Age neo whatever crystal person
Paganist.
would say
You know what?
something else.
I'm
What is
gonna go
light made of?
I'm just going to go with white light because white light is broken
No,
down.
it's-
into-
Well,
made
so they're
out
going
of
to probably
the
say
green-
RG and B because that's what I said, and that's why I said the astronomer because whenever they look at like temperature, they do red, green,
okay,
and blue.
I agree with you there,
But
but
white light, because not all stars are white. Yeah, it's good. Prismatic.
prismatic light. We're both wrong.
What the
That's like the last one on my
What?
What the fuck is this? I don't know. We all
Only an
failed our
astronaut would know.
We all failed our fucking.
Oh, this is a clickbait.
None of you can
Totally
be
Hey, let's make a
astronauts.
ridiculous.
You
quiz.
failed a space quiz.
Yes.
You're grounded, son.
We are
Turn
not-
in your
We
badge.
cannot be
Hopefully just that one
astronauts.
question. There.
That is
Yeah.
fucked.
Poor John. See, just because you're a PhD
I'll go
in
to
astrophysics
space
doesn't mean
anyway.
you're an astrophysicist.
Copernicus?
Oh,
There we
okay, I'm
go.
going to space anyway.
Or an astronaut. Okay, Nikolai Copernicus is famous for discovery of black holes, redefining Earth-centered model of the solar system, the heliocentric
Oh, for
model of the
fuck's
solar system.
Oh, come on. Put it to heliocentric model
Yeah.
already.
Yeah,
Oh God. Oh my fucking A.
this is sad.
Oh,
This is
sorry.
sad.
I mean, you got a 33% chance of getting this right here.
The main element involved in nuclear reactions of stars. Beryllium,
you
which is not
you
there.
got-
Beryllium,
fucking
yeah.
kidding.
Hydrogen.
Oh God. Oh. Next one. Which of these galaxies in the local group is the most massive? Ooh.
Oh,
Ooh, that's
yeah.
This
interesting.
galaxy is the most massive.
Yeah. You know about massive things.
Andromeda.
Well, do they mean
Andromeda.
large in a colloquial sense or full of mass?
I think it's probably going to be
Andromeda, I'd say.
largest as far as mass in the local. I know this answer, but because it just happens to be, it's not just a local group. I mean, as far as I know, this galaxy is like the largest on record, as far as I know.
IC 1101.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they're talking about in the local group, is that
It is
even in the local group?
but- no, it is. Yeah, it's a local group, but it's also the largest on record. If I remember.
So
How
far.
close is
Kind of a
it?
weird question.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 7. Which type of matter accounts for 27% of the known universe?
Dark.
matter. Which I had a question for John about dark matter, but we're all the way past that by now. I mean, he's.
No, go ask him. He loves this kind of shit.
I've been having this hypothesis I keep kicking around in my head, which is probably wrong, and I just want you to tell me that's totally bullshit, so I can stop thinking about it. My idea was, would it be possible that dark matter is actually gravity bleeding through a alternate dimension?
Shut the fuck up, nerd.
That is an interesting thing. However, observations, like we've actually mapped like 3D maps of like the actual distribution of dark matter around galactic clusters by implementing gravitational lensing and computer modeling and calculations, which allow you to actually map. Remember this, Steve?
Yes,
You can actually,
I've seen the
pictures
maps.
of, like the actual distribution.
I've
of dark matter.
literally seen the 3-dimensional maps of the distribution of dark energy
Same
in
here.
the system.
And then there's that bullet galaxy where it like went pow and blasted through another galaxy.
And I've also
saw
seen a
the,
distribution of a map where there's a galaxy that has, for some reason, no dark matter in it for some reason.
But the one thing
Well,
I've thought...
That's racist.
I know why.
Why does it have any dark matter?
So there are. So if you
Jesus?
look at because if you look,
Jesus
if you
is the
look
answer
at,
to everything. Shut up.
so there's gonna be. I mean, you're not gonna have a perfect homogeneity. There's gonna be voids, and you see it everywhere in the universe. It's like one of the most fundamental principles.
I agree with you. I don't think the
is
universe
that
is
there's going to
homogeneous,
be, if you look at the cosmic web structure, like the entire observable universe, this is 3D like web-like
but you think that's
structure
just in
where
an area where it's
dark
not
matter.
You just think
If you
it's
look at those pictures and you have like these like universal galactic lanes where dark matter acts as a scaffolding, and then
Right.
regular matter accretes and conglomerates in that fashion. There's probably all manner of not just galaxies but entire voids of space that are devoid of matter and dark matter. And so we're just starting. We're still learning about dark matter. We don't know what it is yet. Hell, in the '60s, you know know what they call it? Missing mass.
Yeah.
Like this whole dark matter is a neat placeholder, but sometimes some people just take it the wrong way, and it's like overly esoteric sounding.
The way I look at it, as far as I know, the only thing we know that can cause gravity is mass. So when we see a gravitational distribution that's of a galaxy such that we look at these anomalies and saying there's perturbations here, this is moving this direction, the only thing that causes is gravity. Gravity is mass. Well, where's the mass? We don't see anything there. It's dark. It's matter, and it's dark because it doesn't emit photons.
Well, yeah, I like to call it clear.
Oh, you're going all
That makes
Scientology shit on
sense.
us, aren't you?
Clear
No,
matter.
Because look, that it's dark because you're looking through it at the darkness. Like you only see darkness where there's not a point of light from a star in the back.
But it doesn't emit anything.
clear.
The only reason we see something is because something.
Clear as in light just passes through it without inner scattering or absorbing or
Right, but it doesn't
It's
emit
like air.
anything. I see you because I can see light coming from my monitor. I can see something hitting my retina. There's nothing leaving the dark matter for us to even detect it.
Right.
Yeah, that's why it's dark. Does it really exist then? Does it? If we close our eyes, does it go away? I don't know.
So hold on. Well, Steve, if you were to put it on a background of like white, like a piece of paper the size of the universe that's white, it would be called white matter. If that had been there for the history of forever, it's clear. It doesn't have darkness or lightness or color or this. It's like air. If you look at air and the background is a blue wall,
So
the air
if
looks
you had
blue.
if you had a structure made of this dark matter, you'd be able to see right through it.
Yeah.
So light would pass right through it like it didn't even matter.
It's air, only
air.
not
So
fundamentally.
it's
just
the air
in
of the
terms
universe.
optically. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so it's ether.
No, please don't.
Obviously.
Steve, take 6 shots and then do it again as punishment.
This is
And
how
I only
this is how
have
you
one
piss
other
off an
question.
astrophysicist. All right, next one.
Damn
What is the third most abundant element in the universe?
Bullshit.
Beryllium.
Beryllium. Actually, I actually think it's nitrogen.
I do too.
It's helium.
Oh,
Oxygen?
shit.
Oxygen.
No, helium would be the second.
I knew that.
Helium should be the
You
second.
know, I get.
but
You know what? Maybe I should rethink this because the reason why we see such as like green color nebula is the fact there's oxygen, and so there's a lot of molecular oxygen in these nebulas. Is there not?
Oh, there are. I do astrophotography. We can talk about that some other time.
Oh yeah, he's an astrophysicist. He does all this shit. All right. Next question, number 9. What is the highest frequency of electromagnetic radiation?
Gamma?
Isn't there
Two
higher?
of these are not electromagnetic radiation. So what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
What
true.
kind of bullshit is
But, like,
this?
they're alpha and beta particles, but not rays.
Rags, even you can answer this one.
Oh, I mean, I can answer it.
Sure.
Gamma.
Only because you watched The Incredible Hulk.
No, it's because here's why I put this together. Right? You said that 2 of them weren't even the thing, and so one of them is called alpha and the other's called beta. And I'm like, okay, alpha, beta, those kind of go together. Gamma, that's further down the list. Maybe that one isn't the one, and I was right.
That's some shitty deductive reasoning. But
Yeah.
it works.
It was like dumb luck, Steve. That's what that
It literally wasn't luck. That was an educated guess.
Okay.
I don't know anything about this stuff. All right. Well,
What the fuck?
I think that's about it.
Go for the Edgar quiz.
So we all kind of figured out how dumb we really are.
Edgar quiz.
Are there
Yeah, but we
anyone? Are
still
there any
believe-
people still on like watching and on the chat and stuff?
80.
80. Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Amazing, right?
Yeah. I have so many questions and so many answers, so little time. But Steve, I think that one of the things we could do on the Sunday show with DEF CON 1, is it DEF CON 1 science?
DEF CON
or
1
DEF CON
science, yes.
Yeah. So we're still on for that, right?
Oh yeah, this Sunday. Yeah, I'm still
Landon's
trying to
gonna
get
be-
a friend to join who wants to talk about the Schrodinger wave function equation, but I think
cool. Yeah.
I think we're doing Lorentz contractions instead.
Yeah, okay? So that show could easily contain all manner of scientific tangents to further the discussion, the content that we may not have been able to express here on this show right now tonight. But we'll focus first on time dilation and I guess also the Schrodinger equation, and then we'll just see if there's time for just some hodgepodge physics.
That sounds good to me. And if you guys have some questions specifically, get them ready for DEFCON 1 science, because I think we are going to be talking about how time dilation works, what a dilation factor is, how the Lorentz formula works, basically asymptotic behaviors, and basically a real world demonstration, I guess, of how we know this shit's real because of muon decay, what's called.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we got to make sure we have a diagram in there showing the light clock and Einstein's train and clock tower thought experiment, and also the muons. And I also want to say right now, as a little teaser, during this show at some point I will tell you how you can at home very easily make your own particle detector that is visually stimulating and very cool, because it's very easy to do. If you have a local grocery store and another local grocery store, you could do this.
A particle detector of some kind, like a.
Oh yeah, they can make. I did it myself.
Like for example,
cloud chamber.
Not kind of like a scintillation detector of some kind.
No, it's a cloud chamber.
Just a cloud chamber. Okay, so you have
a primitive form of the cloud chamber family of particle detectors. And you know what I even did is I wanted to increase the rate of particle incidences. So I took apart a smoke detector and got the americium 241 source. That thing was lit.
From a smoke detector, yeah.
I still have it in my lit. Right now. I have it in. It's just an alpha decay. It's an alpha source, so it goes. It's not very harmful.
Yeah, but alpha particles, like for example, when I did radiological detections, the alpha particle detectors we used were a very different type of instrument. It had a mylar coating, a mylar screen, and then the alpha particle ones were way different from like a neutron detector. Neutron detector is this big, massive, big black round thing that you had to carry around, and then you had a Geiger-Müller tube for just your general ionized particles.
Yeah.
I mean, so what does this do? It just produce like a single photon of light you can see or something? Or no, it's a cloud chamber.
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but what happened? It's a cloud. You can see.
So
the
you have a superheated. It's not superheated. Super cooled.
It's hyper saturated and very cooled, and you need a nucleation site, which is an electric charge, an ionized particle of air, like a water molecule that's in the air. And when a charged particle like a muon or a particle from a muon decay goes through your chamber,
I've seen a cloud chamber. I've actually
you can see
literally seen it. I mean, been with a cloud chamber in action. They're fascinating because, like you said, it's a super cool, super saturated type of system. And when you have an ionized particle go through it, that causes a nucleation point. Actually, a whole bunch of nucleation points where you can have a condensation of the.
It's just
you have condensate forms.
Yeah, it's just absolutely dying to condense, and it can't. And until a muon or another charged particle flies through there, and it's like super fat, and you could see this track, and you could even you can get like a neodymium magnet and put your whole experiment on top of it and watch them start spiraling. Forget about straight tracks and give them a spiral. So we'll talk about this and more on Sunday. Please tune in for more details and also fantasticness.
And there you go. So we're going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching this particular Rum and Coke night, which was the copyright strike in astrophysics with Dr. John.
Copyright strike?
Yeah, NonSequitur got a copyright strike.
What for?
Oh, it's fucking stupid. And you know what's funny is there was nothing to strike. They literally struck us for no reason because we have none of their copyright material on there. But it was on the production company for the movie The Lost City of Z.
Lost City of Z?
Yeah, because we did a video called The Lost City of Z, which was about Percy Anderson and Brazil and the city that he was looking for, and there happens to be a movie by that name, but they thought we were uploading their movie, and so they gave us a copyright strike. There's nothing about that movie, not a still, not a audio, not video, and so we have contacted them. We've contacted YouTube, and we've asked them to remove their copyright strike, and we've also found a counterclaim. But until then, NonSequitur cannot stream.
Oh man.
So
yeah, YouTube's kind of fucked like that.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is that we can do the counter notification, but they're not going to get it till Monday because of the weekend.
Well, Well, we gotta make sure it's fixing because the 26th is Exoplanets to Part 2, the return of the cosmic crooner.
Yeah, we've
That-
got it. Well, we're working on it, dude. I've got legal documents out to YouTube and to the studio, and so I actually have a formal legal document to let them know that we're filing a counter thing to them because they have no grounds to file a copyright claim because there's nothing about their material in there. So, but anyways, we're gonna call it a night. So
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank the super chats. This was fun.
Yeah.
We like our Rum and Coke nights. We're gonna do them once a week. So we're gonna be doing at least DEFCON 1 Science on Sundays, Rum and Coke night at least once a week, and then I don't know, some other fuckery that we do in the middle of the night somehow. So good night, guys.
Good night.
All right.